Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
All right, no need to panic.
Here we are. Look at
no
the screen.
need
Looks weird.
to panic.
It does look,
right?
We look close.
Yeah, can we get that wide shot again? So
Yeah.
you'll notice there's only three of us today. G. Bush woke up, another neck issue, right?
He's a
Yeah,
mess.
he texted us about 8:15 saying he woke up. He's had neck surgeries, and every once in a
Yeah, a
while
lot
his
of them.
nerves give him issues, and he said he can't feel his arms.
All right.
So this happens. No need to worry. We're gonna check in with G throughout the show, throughout the day, make sure he's all right. But this is not not a catastrophic event. He's day to day. We expect him back tomorrow.
He's day to day. He's
Day-to-day.
played hurt a lot. He
Yeah.
comes in. We know he's in pain
Yeah.
from the neck. Get well, big fella. We're thinking about you.
I had some big thing happen to me yesterday.
What's that?
So listen to this. It's not every day that I get on social media and I get like a celebrity follows me, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, here we go.
So you get a notification. Like
Yeah.
most of my mentions is cut off, so I can't really see anything.
Mm.
But this one, it popped up on my phone. I was like, man, who is this?
Yeah.
Blue check and everything. Guess who it was? Jay Crawford.
I didn't realize I wasn't following you.
I said I've been working with this guy for 5 months, and he just now decided to
Now, wait a
follow.
minute. I didn't have a follow either.
Oh, you weren't
You got a
following
point
back?
there.
So we got a point.
You got a point there.
I'm not
Touche.
active really on
Oh,
Twitter.
my gosh.
You had sent your tweet to the group, and I saw it. When I clicked on it, I'm like,
Yeah.
how am I not following him?
Yeah.
So I
What's
jumped
funny
on.
is, what's interesting is when you get a follow from like a fairly big celebrity, and then I always click on it to see, is this someone who's just following everybody?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there
yeah.
are some of these celebrities that just want to get as many follows as possible.
Right,
And they
right.
probably don't even do their own social media.
Right,
You
right.
know, and I'm like, and then you see, because if they have 100,000 followers and they're following 90,000 people,
Yeah.
you know it's meaningless.
There's a ratio of followers to following.
That's
Right.
sad.
I don't understand it, but
That's a thing,
Yeah.
and that's sad.
I think
know,
I'm
it is sad that it's a
I think I'm
thing.
following like 700 maybe. I don't even know if it's that
I was at
much.
a point once where, and I didn't do my social media for a long time.
Oh, really?
I didn't.
Oh,
And
really?
anytime anybody would ask for a follow,
Yeah.
the people that were, because it was usually either an intern or a
Right.
AP or something.
Yeah.
They would always just, follow.
that's so annoying.
Now, I would tweet my own stuff, but I don't really read stuff on Twitter.
Yeah.
I just, I feel strongly about this. I would blast something out.
Right.
As far as responses go,
Yeah.
if it was a personal response, I would always do those as well. But I don't like social media. I think that's pretty clear. It can be a really negative space.
Yes, it can.
It could be a really negative
especially
space.
if you're an athlete. you
Yeah.
know?
Now I think the guy who I think does social media better than anybody is Kirk Herbstreit.
he does do.
He
a good job.
lights dudes up, and he does it in a really cool way where you're like not even mad at him because he's such a nice guy. But
takes
he
special
handles
talent.
it really well, and I know, and he does his own. He's really into it.
By the way, I think when you said Twitter is like a mean space, the camera just went right on me. Steve, did you do that on purpose? Was that on purpose, Steve, or was that a
Director
coincidence?
Steve does not make mistakes. Put it that way.
Yeah, no, nothing's by accident.
I see.
You get on people on Twitter.
Do I what on Twitter?
You
Yeah,
get
he
on
gets
people?
on him.
Yeah, sure. I fight with people sometimes.
Hey, Tyvis,
I have fun
tell
doing
everybody
it.
what the tweet was that you put out that caught my attention.
Oh, okay. So what happened was this. So I was a couple days ago. I was watching TV or something like that, and my wife comes in and she says, I forget what she asked me to do, but she says, "Do this when you get a chance."
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking to myself, maybe I should get up and do it right now. And
Not
then
maybe, you
Then the
should.
question was,
Yeah.
then I started thinking like, well, what's the point of saying when you get a chance? So technically, it should be at my own leisure.
Because wives have a really good skill set of being passive aggressive.
so-
That's a classic PA move.
Bull, if they say when you get a chance, what does that mean?
I would use, if I had the time at that moment, unless I was doing something really important, I would probably do it right then.
What if
Yeah.
you was like watching House
But
of
what does that
Dragon or something?
translate? Let me translate that
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you. When you get a chance, can you?
Right.
Here's what that means. I'm gonna need this done right now.
Yes,
In
pretty
fact,
much.
my response to you was, you said, how many minutes do I have when they say when you get a chance? And I said,
You should have been
none.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
should have
that
done it
means.
already. Now, I am very lucky. My wife is not passive aggressive. Like we make everything clear. We don't let things linger. We got a problem, we talk about it, right? But I don't think that's common. And so, yes, I think you should do it right away. Did you do it right away?
I did.
you're learning.
I literally
That's a good
stopped what I was doing to go do it.
If you'd
because
like to Obi-Wan Kenobi to Grandmaster,
How long you
I
been
will
married,
teach you
by
some
the way?
of these things.
me and my wife will be, our 2-year anniversary is coming up on the 30th of this month.
Yeah, see, he's
You're
still a
a
young
newbie.
pup.
Yeah.
You'll learn.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've learned.
And you'll also pick up, they're good at, with looks, telling you what they need you to
Yes.
do.
That's
Not
true.
even words. Sometimes it doesn't even need words. You just look at them, you're like, wow, I just feel like I'm Dwight Clark and my wife is Joe Montana, and I just picked up what she put down with a simple glance.
Well,
2 years.
it was sad because it was sometimes where it was like, you know what, I'm the man of this house. I'm gonna do it when I feel
yeah.
like. But then I felt
boy,
bad.
here we go.
I felt bad, so it's like, you know what, let me just go ahead because I'll feel bad if because she don't really ask for too much. So like if I could just stop what I'm doing for a couple
it's a
seconds.
smart move.
We got our anniversaries in the same week.
Oh, what's
Mine's
yours?
the 24th.
Okay.
12 years for me.
Of when?
Of October.
Oh, nice.
And you said October 30th,
30th.
right?
Very good.
Jay,
Very
before you
good.
go, Bull mentioned something I want to bring back up. Bull, who's the most random Twitter follow you have, celebrity-wise? Go around the horn real quick. Just a random
Oh,
person.
wow.
Monica Potter. She's from Cleveland.
Oh, yeah, we follow one another.
And I don't think she follows everybody, so I like that one. But
Yeah, she's a huge sports fan.
I have no
yeah,
idea.
huge
right. And I
Cleveland
think
sports
she
fan.
lives in Cleveland now.
She has a place in
yeah,
Cleveland.
but she's not here all the time.
Not here all the time. Yeah, she used to have a business that I think is no longer there. It
Right.
was in the mall, the arcade, rather.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's like a home.
She's famous for
home
Parenthood.
goods.
That was the show
She
she
was a
on,
big
which, of
actress
course,
on Parenthood.
was on Channel 4.
Tyvis,
Yeah.
what about you?
I don't know. My people is all sports related, I think.
It's okay if it's me. I mean, that's okay.
Tim Ryan, who's running for Senate. Is Tim Ryan following you on Twitter?
Tim Ryan would definitely. Zero
do
politics. I believe that the reason that a lot of these social media platforms have devolved to what they have is because of politics.
That's true.
I have a pretty general rule about politics and religion.
Yeah.
You have a better chance of changing my mind on what my favorite food is than what I believe politically. And I don't align with a party, I align with issues. And most people can't comprehend that because most people just fall in line and this is what the D's think, this is what the R's think. And I got a lot of things that I believe.
Both.
I'm both. I'm both. I lean left on some issues strong.
I
mean, I'll argue to my last
think
breath.
I feel like that
And
too.
also on the right. So what I've learned is you're wasting breath or characters or whatever. I can't. The next time someone sees a Facebook post and says, pro-life, maybe I should give it a shot.
I would say,
that just doesn't happen.
I would say that in general, you're right. I think if you're willing to have a reasonable conversation,
Well, that's the problem.
with reasonable
Most people aren't.
you can't.
I agree
do
with
that
that,
on
by the
Twitter.
way.
I do sometimes. Obviously, I do sometimes tweet about politics. What's funny is I never used to before 2016. I never tweeted about politics.
Right.
Before 2016, I was always like, religion and politics were
Smart rule.
believe what you want, just don't tell me about it.
That's where I'm at.
And because I
still
say
believe
I
that
have
with-
to practice that.
Right.
too.
I still believe that with religion. I have changed. I would argue that a lot of things I tweet really are in politics, that people have turned them into politics. But that's a little too nuanced.
It
But
is,
whatever.
but that's one of the reasons
Yeah.
why. So I think politicians are big on following whoever follows them. Obviously, that's their potential.
No, but
vote.
he followed me before I followed him.
Ryan?
Then he
The
was
reason-
aware of your political views and said, "This is someone that."
No,
can help
I don't.
me."
I don't. In Tim Ryan's case, I think it has more to do with sports because he knows Dustin personally.
Oh, he's a big sports fan too.
He is.
I know that.
Yeah.
Mine is oddly. This is so weird.
I got to go too.
Mine is who is John Legend's wife?
Oh, Christy Teigen.
Christy Teigen. So John Legend was he was a big First Take fan, and he wrote a funny theme song for First Take that we never used, but he wrote it and he came in and he performed it. And Chrissy was there. And in the green room before the show, I'm mostly talking to John about sports. He's an Ohio guy. When he got up to go into makeup, I was just sitting there and we continued to have a conversation. And for whatever reason, 10 minutes later, she followed me on Twitter, and I'm like, well,
There you go.
I'm obliged. I have to follow.
Gotta follow back.
So that's just like the weird and random one.
That,
You know?
that beats all of ours. Mine's Gordon Ramsay, Hell's Kitchen chef.
Oh, how did that happen?
I was playing golf one day, and on like the 13th box, my phone pinged, and I was like, "Oh, let me see this real quick." And it was like, "Oh crap, Gordon Ramsay followed me on Twitter," but he follows like 100,000 people.
No, so that's
okay.
legit. Though.
Not super.
Oh,
rare.
that's
still.
because I got to tell you.
All right, let me dive into the show
Yeah.
today. Obviously, we're going to start Guardians Yankees. We're going to get there in a second. Leroy and Robert are in for our powerhouse backfield combo. They're going to join us later in the show. We're going to talk a lot about Browns and Patriots, how they match up Patriots offense versus the Browns defense. I think if you want to get well again, I say that, and they put 29 up last Sunday.
Yeah, don't say that.
I thought all along this was the offense that our defense was going to get well on. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure about that now, but we'll talk about that. And we're also doing true or false, even though G isn't here, right?
The champ, he won.
People's champ is not here, but
Yeah.
we'll still give out.
I know,
the
3
belt
Well, the
to
winner
win
now
the
takes
winner.
the belt, though. I mean, if you can't be
Yes.
here to defend
That's
your
it.
title,
He
then you lose
vacated.
your
No, you
title.
lose
He
your
did
title.
vacate the
But
belt.
let's start, Bull. Obviously,
Yeah.
Guardians Yankees. Before I say anything, I'm anxious to hear your thoughts on the 4-1 defeat in Game 1.
Listen, it's obviously disappointing, even though you go into it knowing that the Yankees should win the first game. But what we talked about, in fact, I had to listen to the first 2 innings on the radio, which is a pleasure because you get to listen to Tom Hamilton. And Tom Hamilton, when the Guardians loaded the bases with 1 out after Kwan's homer,
Yeah.
and then Guardians, so I actually,
That was the third.
the top of the third. I went into my house. I was sitting in my driveway because I didn't want to, even though I was DVRing the game.
You don't want to screw with the juju.
Right, exactly. So I was waiting till after the top of the third, and then I walked in my house.
Right.
So Tom Hamilton says, and he's 100% right, he goes, when you have a pitcher like Garrett Cole, he's not going to give you a lot of opportunities.
Right.
When he does, you have to take advantage. And think about this. They load the base. They get second. First of all, you're not going to see this on the stats if you weren't listening or watching the game. Because I went back and looked at it after I got back in the house. When Ramirez hits the double in that inning after the Quan homer and the hit
What
by
a
pitch to
play.
Rosario, Harrison Bader makes a great running play to prevent the ball from getting to the wall. If it gets to the wall, Rosario scores and
2-1,
Ramirez has a
and
triple.
Ramirez is on third. And the
you
inning
think,
unfolds completely differently.
who knows what would have happened,
Yeah.
right? And instead, it's second and third, and they end up not scoring. What's weird is they got a big break on the next play because Naylor hits it to Rizzo. Rizzo went home too fast. Rosario Smart goes back to third. So it's bases loaded, 1 out. You got a great opportunity. But like much of the night, Oscar Gonzalez had a rough night last night.
Yes,
And he couldn't come through. And you think about this. Garrett Cole, who was already at 60 pitches or whatever, around 60
at 3.
was from the moment that Naylor reached on the fielder's choice till he left. The only 2 base runners were Jose Ramirez walk, which I thought was basically intentional.
Yeah.
Because it was 2 out, nobody on. I thought he didn't want anything to do with him there.
Right.
And then Straw gets the single off the glove. I would have left Cole in if I were the Yankees there because their pen stinks. But he locked it down.
He retired
And that was
12
it.
of the final 14.
And that was it.
And you're so right about the Harrison Bader play.
That's
And I
huge.
wanted to point out, too, the Yankees are the kind of team that when they see that they have a deficit at the break before the trade deadline, they're going to go out and address it.
Yeah.
They went out and got Harrison Bader. And I think a lot of people at the time were like, that's a nice pickup.
Yeah.
No, that's a great pickup.
Great
For
defensive
the very
player.
reason we saw last night, and I'm so glad you brought that up because I thought that was the turning point in the game.
It's huge.
I really did.
Yeah.
Because to your point, if he doesn't cut that ball off, it's already 2-1. The air goes out of the stadium because you just bounced back with the solo home run that Bader hit to tie the game.
No, Bader hit it at the bottom of the third.
Bader hit it. Yeah, you're right. It was 1-0
They would have been up 2-0.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
Instead, the Bader homer completely
Well,
pushed the Yankees
that's
back
at that
in
point I'm
control.
like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And I was, as I was watching it, I kept saying, okay, so I know one thing's going to happen. Garrett Cole is going to turn into Garrett Cole. And he did after that.
Right.
After he got out of that inning. The notes that I made, the couple notes that I made, one was the Bader play in center field. I thought that was the turning point. I also wanted to emphasize that in no other sports world can you go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows other than playoff baseball.
Yeah.
And Oscar Gonzalez with the walk-off home run had eternally cemented his name and his status in Cleveland sports fans' minds. I don't want to beat him up too much because that is a difficult play to make. Into that
and he
corner
just
in
made
right
a good
field.
play to play
He
before.
just made a great play.
Which messed me up because I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah,
Where if it hit the top.
If it hit the top and went in, it's a home run.
Even if one of the fans had touched it, it would have been double.
I thought if it hit, like that's a home run.
No.
He came back, catches it, and guns him at first. I was like,
I thought it was a home run at first.
That's what I thought.
And then you see
off
the
the bat,
replay.
I said that's gone.
Yeah.
That's
And then the
gone.
replay, you're like, oh wait,
Yeah.
that's not. And Donaldson bad job at him. But I'm curious, Tyvis, as you jumped in here because Jay and I are baseball nerds with diehard guys. But as a more casual baseball guy. Did you he and I are like,
y'all,
it's okay,
y'all
it's okay.
Y'all like me with football.
Are you panicking?
Right.
Are you panicking?
No, I'm not panicking.
Okay.
I understand that the Yankees is historically a good team, but I think that the Guardians team is a great team and they have a chance to get it done. They showed that they can get on base and they just have to find a way to hit them in, which is easier said than done. But I just
It's better than what they did against the Rays.
That's
they
what I'm saying. Like they was able to get on. So it tells me that they're not afraid of the moment and they have what it takes. The only thing that I wonder, which is I wanted to ask y'all, is that I seen on Twitter that they were saying that they should have retired the pitcher after the third.
Quantrill.
After the third.
Before his third time around the line.
Do y'all agree with that?
No, that's hindsight.
I was fine with it.
That's the benefit of the results.
Especially because he was pitching so well to that point.
Yeah.
And I get it generally. And by the way, I bet a lot of the people complaining about it are the same people that complain about analytics. Because analytics says take him out there.
Right.
But Francona, who uses analytics, contrary to popular belief, but also uses his gut.
He
in that
has a
case,
great
he used
blend
his
of
gut.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
And I thought that was the right call. I mean, anybody can armchair quarterback it now and say, he gave up the home run. Look, Aaron Judge did not hurt the Guardians.
He did not.
What the Yankees proved last night is they have so much depth up and down there. It's funny when you look, and this is the shift in baseball now. If they just show you the batting averages of both teams, you're like, the Guardians are going to win this series running away. Yeah. They've got guys hitting 211, 220, 215. What analytics and where baseball is now is they would rather have a guy hit 220 with 35 home runs than 260 and 15 home runs.
Right.
And the Guardians have a lot of guys in that latter category.
Right.
They put the ball in play more than any team in baseball. Mm-hmm. They strike out the fewest rate in baseball. They also hit the 29th most home runs.
Right.
So last night, analytics won. 86% of the time, the team that hits the most home runs in a postseason game wins that game.
Right.
Now the Guardians obviously won their first series that way, 2-1.
Right.
Last night they got out homered 2-1, and they lost. So the Yankees have built their team on this premise. We don't need, and if you think about it, and this is fascinating. It's a fascinating way to think about it. When I tell you 280 average, compare it to a 215 average. What do you think?
A huge difference.
But in reality,
I would say
that's
same.
the
Depends on the player.
success rate. But the success rate is 28% to 22%.
Right. It's not as big as you might think.
It's not as big as we in our minds have made it out to be.
And the thing is, sometimes you give your opponent credit, right? The Guardians couldn't come through. They were 0 for 8 runners in scoring position, 0 for 12 in the playoffs.
That's what killed them.
Again, it's amazing that the Guardians only had 4 at-bats in the first 2 games against
with
the
runners
Rays.
in scoring position.
And
they
didn't
won
get a
the
single
series
hit
as
and
well.
won the series. It's absurd. They are, and this is what's got to change, obviously. The Guardians right now are offensively the complete opposite of what they've been all year.
You're right.
They're striking out. They're not hitting in the clutch. And all their runs have been homers.
Yeah.
That's not how they win games.
Nope. And you've got to stay true to
that
who you are. And Terry knows that.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad at moments like this that we have Terry Francona at the helm. I'll guarantee you if he said anything at all to the team, because he doesn't really need to.
Nope.
But his message would be this: we're fine.
Oh,
Nope,
right.
we came to New York to split.
That's right.
Look, if you win 2, you're in a great position. But the business trip was the objective of the business trip. Let's come back 1-1.
If
Let's
you look
get
at
2 in our building, then it's in your control.
Yeah.
Guys, if you looked at the body language, I don't know if anybody paid attention to it, but I did. If you look at the body language during the game of Francona and Aaron Boone.
Aaron Boone was chewing his nails. He was a mess.
He looked like he was ready to crap his pants.
You know why?
Francona's just like,
That's the difference between.
he's like me sitting in a chair.
You know what it is?
He was.
Go to Vegas. Go to Vegas and watch the dude in the $10,000 suit play blackjack.
Yeah.
And then watch the guy with the steel toe boots, the hat on backwards, and a pack of smokes in his front pocket.
Yeah.
That dude is playing each hand like Aaron Boone.
Yeah.
The guy with the $10,000 suit is Terry Francona.
Yeah. He's like,
house money, baby.
Well, the two
it's all
things,
good.
the two things else is, one, I wanted to shout out Stephen Kwan. I seen that he had the highest average for a rookie since Larry Doby.
Yeah, that
Vardy,
was
yeah,
very
amazing
impressive.
stat.
And he was the one
Very
that came
impressive.
through.
Yeah.
And
a lot of other years would have won Rookie of the Year. Doesn't deserve it.
No, I
Had
know.
a great season.
You're right.
Doesn't deserve it this
And
year.
then
But
the Jose
Deserves to be in the conversation,
Absolutely.
and he is. But he won't win
Absolutely.
it,
the
and he
Jose
should.
Ramirez play where so they hit it to him and he dropped it and turned it into a double.
Yeah,
Do
I'm
you
not
think
he did it on
was
purpose.
that
I'm
it?
not
You don't
sure
think it was in purpose?
I don't think so.
I don't think it was either.
It worked out
to be,
great.
It turned out to be great.
Yeah.
It turned out beautifully, but there's no way he could have known that the runner was staying at first base. There's no way he could have known that.
That's true.
Bang, bang.
Yes.
It hit the palm of his glove and
Yes.
came out. But he's so good and so in every spot that he gets in. You never see Jose make the wrong play.
No.
He was able to gather himself,
No panic.
easily make the double play.
Yeah.
Great job out of him. I thought in general, I thought that Quantrill did what I thought he would do. Everybody got consumed by the fact that he was 15-5, but he had the most run support of any starter in baseball. He was averaged 6 runs a start. Hell, you better be 15-5 if you're given 6 runs of support.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take anything away from him. I just thought that he did exactly what I expected him to do. He made 3 mistake pitches. 2 of them were home runs. 1 of them went off the top of the wall. Other than that, I mean, the other run that they had was a goof.
Well,
they shouldn't have had that.
And by the way, Austin Hedges, you got to throw Judge out there. A good throw and he's out.
I know.
I mean,
I know.
he's only playing for his defense. And listen, I've been off him the last couple of months.
You have.
Because he does run that pitching staff
and that's
great.
what's the problem.
But he's got to make that throw.
In defense,
You got to get back on him, boy. He was at his best when you was all on him.
Yeah. So get on him and he'll home run tomorrow night.
I'm about to say we get a home run.
Aaron Judge is 16 of 18 on stolen bases.
Yeah.
People think that, he's just a lumberjack that can hit home runs. Aaron Judge does everything
He's
well.
great,
And he's not fast, but he tends to get a
He's
good
sneaky
jump.
fast, though.
He's sneaky fast because he's so
takes him like
long.
7
But if you
steps.
look
Yeah, I'm
at
about
it,
to say,
I don't disagree with anything you guys are saying. However, if you look at it,
You gotta
a
throw
good
him out
throw,
there.
you got him.
Yeah, and
A good throw,
normally,
you got him.
Normally,
He makes good throws.
he makes the throw.
And, that was
he makes the out.
unfortunate.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question on that real quick?
Yeah.
So Hedges, obviously, this is his first postseason experience.
The moment
they
got
played
to him.
the Rays in the wild card series, but this is their first postseason run.
Right.
How much does the lack of playoff experience affect these guys, especially in a setting like New York in front of a raucous crowd like that? Do you think it has any effect whatsoever?
I don't think so. I think it's coincidence that they had some sloppy moments. I mean, you never know for sure.
Right.
There are players that can be intimidated by playing at Yankee Stadium, which is why it's important to try to keep it quiet, keep them quiet. And had they scored a few runs, it probably would have loosened them up even more. I don't think there's panic from this team.
Right.
I think this team plays young and loose. Their manager doesn't panic. Their star player doesn't panic. I don't think they panic at all.
I agree with that. I don't think they did. One thing I wanted to point out, too, which I thought I was waiting to read the papers this morning for one main reason. I wanted to see how Miles Straw and Stephen Kwan responded to reporter questions about all the grief that they were getting from Yankee Stadium. Because if you're not following this, in April, in an early season road trip when they were there was an incident where Stephen Kwan got hurt. The bleacher creatures were yelling some things at Kwan, and they were throwing things.
Yeah.
And Miles Straw didn't like it. He climbed the fence.
Yes, he did.
He was right in. So obviously, everyone knew that they were going to get on Kwan and Straw. They were booed every time they came to the plate. That's why I loved the fact that Kwan hit the home run right into the bleacher creatures. I thought that was perfect. I knew both would be asked about it. My hope was that Terry would have pulled them aside even before the series started and said, look, you guys are going to be asked questions about the Yankee fan base.
Don't egg them on.
This can go one of two ways. You can egg them on and call them jerks and idiots and unsportsmanlike, which is true, but you just feed the beast when you do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
What you need to do is kill them with kindness, and that's exactly what both of them did, and I was so glad to read that this morning. Kwan said it was kind of cool. You know you've reached a certain status level.
That's true.
When that crowd hates you that much.
That's a good point.
It's exactly what Chipper Jones used to say when, for years, they would call him Larry and Chance when he would come to the Mets.
Yeah.
And Chipper said, I'm doing
That's
something
right.
right
New York
because one of
fans
the
are tough.
toughest crowd bases in sports
Hey, listen,
knows that I've got to be pushed down.
I know that baseball is different than football, but like I've never let a crowd affect me in any way. Like,
Yeah, but remember, look at it this way. You've never been the focus of all eyes in the stadium.
Right, right.
I guess
in
that's
baseball,
true. That's
when you
true.
walk into that batter's box, you feel the karma around you, whatever it is, good or bad.
Right.
And I knew that they were going to be booed. And by the way, Quan is in left field, so he doesn't have to deal with that crew anymore.
Right,
but
right.
Miles Straw does. Miles Straw heard it. I'm sure Oscar Gonzalez heard it.
Yep.
And I was just glad that they took the mature and the high road
Smart
and
move.
said, hey, they're a great fan base. It's kind of a badge of honor that they hate me that much.
Yeah,
That's true.
That means I'm doing something
That
right.
is very true.
I do want to talk about my one beef with Francona last night, guys, was I can't understand why in the top of the 7th inning, so the Yankees just had the lead. And again, the Yankees deserve credit. There was Quantrill left it hanging to Rizzo. He doesn't miss hangers.
No.
You knew he was going to. As soon as I saw
By the
that
way,
pitch, I
that
said,
was a
oh, my
Boone
God.
shot.
He crushed it. So it's 4-1. You're coming up in the 7th, okay? It's desperate time in that game. I know the Guardians bench is not very good. We all know that.
Yeah.
But I can't let Hedges hit to start off the 7th down 3 runs.
No.
I didn't understand that.
I thought about that especially. He's
Right.
carrying 3 catchers.
3 catchers, so it's
you
a no-brainer.
carry 3 catchers specifically
Yes.
so you can pinch hit for
Right.
your offensively deficient catcher.
Yes, I didn't
And he didn't
understand
do
that.
it. I also, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Hindsight, yes, I
Yeah.
would have done it. By the way, he hit the ball hard as hell there. He hit the ball down the third baseline, and
Yankees
Donaldson
made all the plays
made
in the
a
field.
great play, but he
Yeah.
almost had a double.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
here's Tito. Tito is the kind of guy, he's not one to quickly roll on a guy. He's
Right.
not one
But he has pinch hit for him at the end of games a
he
lot
has,
of times.
And I think if you get into a situation where it's a 2-2 tie and it's the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning and
better.
Hedges comes up, he's out.
Yeah.
He's done.
Certainly.
So I agree with you.
And he did pinch hit for him in the 9th inning.
No, he pinch hit for. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He pinch hit for him the
Yeah.
9th. I thought the move that he made the mistake on was not pinch hitting for Naylor, who looked particularly bad against the curveball and slider against Garrett Cole. He was the guy that I thought was pressing too hard at the plate was Naylor.
I
He
get what
swung
you're
and missed
saying,
a lot.
and he's been bad against lefties, and
That's
they
why I
had
would have
Peralta
pulled him.
in.
His
But-
average against lefties, and by the way, not just his average, the lefty that they brought in kills lefties.
Yes,
kills them.
the only reason I would have stuck with him there is because I think about that playoff series he had against the Yankees,
Right.
Naylor, and he's the type of guy that if he can get into one and hit a home run, like he goes
I agree.
bananas, the whole
Especially
team
with the
gets
short
fired
porch
up.
there to right field.
And because I don't have a great option on the bench, I would have stuck with him. But
Yeah.
there's certainly an argument there. I mean, there's an argument on taking Quantrill out. You and I both think he did the right thing.
I think he did.
There's an argument on, in every game. In the playoffs, we dissect the games more than you do in the
That's
regular
why I
season.
love playoff baseball so
Yeah.
much. In the regular season, that was a ho-hum game.
Yeah.
Yankees won. It's never given any talk.
Right.
It's, it is. Yeah, they didn't get it done in the clutch or whatever. But we're parsing pitch selection. We're
Yeah.
parsing Gonzalez misplaying that ball in the corner,
Yeah.
which a lot of guys have done. That's a
Yeah.
tough spot.
It is. It's
The
a
fans
tricky-
are right on top of
And
you.
there's not a lot of
You got
room
this
there.
Much space.
Yeah, it's a weird
It's like,
space there.
All in all, though, I'm glad that we're in agreement. All in all, I think that they're not happy about it. They
No.
would have loved to have had the win, but I think there's zero panic. Before we move on, we're going to talk about the Browns offense against the Patriots, or the Browns defense against the Patriots offense in a second. There's one thing that's really bothering me today, and I got to get this off my chest. And I understand why they're doing it. They're trying to get the Dodgers in primetime. But it is supposed to be 68 degrees and sunny in New York today. They're having the weather today that we had yesterday.
Yeah,
The Guardians and the Yankees have the day off.
I know.
They have the day off because last night the Dodgers game was at 9:30. They didn't want 2 Dodger games to be late in the primetime window for East Coasters.
Right.
So tonight, number 1 market, New York, gets the night off because they don't want them to go head-to-head in the TV.
Right.
The Dodgers get the primetime slot, 8 o'clock start tonight on the East Coast. The problem with that is it's 100% chance rain tomorrow.
Yeah.
And here's what that does.
Right.
It pushes game 2, and a decision may actually be made today on whether or not they're going to move that game. Likely it'll come tomorrow. But either way, if game 2 is pushed from Friday to Saturday, that really hampers the Guardians, because then you have game 2 Saturday, fly back home after the game, play Game 3.
Game 2 Friday.
Game 2 Friday.
Right.
Game 3 Saturday.
Yeah.
Game 4, if needed, Sunday. Game 5, if needed, Monday.
Yes.
So 3 flights and 4 games in 4 days, and that means Bieber will not get 2 starts in the series.
Yeah, the Yankees would have the flights too.
Absolutely. They have the flights.
But
they have the flights too.
There's 2 reasons why that's a disadvantage for the Guardians. One you already mentioned, that's Shane Bieber.
Right.
Now, I don't know that they would use him on 3 days rest in Game 5,
either.
but at least you'd have the option, which you will not if the game gets pushed back. The other thing, and I think this is something that's under the radar, what is the Guardians' advantage in this series? Their big advantage. The bullpen.
Yeah.
Well, the more games that are back-to-back-to-back, the lesser, even if it's a little bit, that advantage is. Because if you have to use Clase and Karinchak in games 2 and 3, well, there's a decent chance they'll be at least a little less effective in 4 and 5.
You're right.
And because the Guardians have that big advantage, it closes the gap on that advantage. Because the Yankees don't have a set guy, so they can use anybody because they kind of trust all their guys. They don't trust any of their guys that much, except for maybe Peralta.
They were great last night, though.
But they did a good job last night. I give him credit. Losaiga did a good job. After he got in trouble, he got out of that inning with the double play.
It was fascinating, too, watching the difference in how the 2 managers use their bullpen.
Yeah.
Tito's a guy who has a 7th-inning guy,
Yes.
an 8th-inning guy, a 9th-inning guy, and that's that.
So if
Aaron Boone is a matchup guy. He wants lefty on lefty, righty on righty.
Right.
He'll make the moves based on the situation in the game.
But he wasn't always that. I think it's become a necessity because he doesn't have a closer.
True.
He really doesn't.
And he doesn't have much of a setup guy.
No, they don't really have one guy that you completely trust.
I feel that Shane Bieber is going to pitch a wonderful game.
I agree.
He's going to hand it over to the bullpen. The only question mark to me is, will the Guardians, I keep calling them that, and I'm sorry, will they be able to get to Cortez? Cortez has had a great year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But if they
He's
don't
actually
get to
pitched
him,
better than Cole this year. But obviously
Yes,
Bieber's
yes.
a lot better than Quantrill. And they need him to lock it down. But ultimately, as good as the Guardians pitching has been, and I think will continue to be, if they don't start getting back to the hitting club they've been all year, they're going to lose.
it's over.
Yeah.
And, here you got Aaron Judge stealing a base.
I hope it don't.
Right.
And hey, wait, that's what we do.
Right.
That's our thing.
We got to string
And
together hits.
we do.
Get that clutch hit. He had a lot of opportunity. A lot maybe strong, but he had a few opportunities last night, and the Guardians cannot come through with a clutch hit.
All they got to do is get me, man. Just
Let's do it.
Sign
They got to turn it around.
Sign you, add you to the playoff
you know what?
roster.
Y'all know what I do.
Ground ball to short. Or you may swing and let go of the bat.
Listen. First of all, I did not do that. My first hit, I'm only good for 1 hit. My first hit was a perfectly good line
I can't
drive.
attest. There was a nice.
How
simple
hard
center
was that
field.
pitch? How hard was that pitch, you think?
7 miles an hour. It was about as fast as Leroy Hoard ran in the open field. What's up, Leroy?
Leroy, welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Leroy, you watch baseball?
Did you watch the game?
Hey, by the way,
Yeah.
I refuse to take this blasphemy from McNuggets.
17 miles an hour is
I'm
fast.
not doing this. Huh?
17 miles an hour is fast. Tyreek Hill runs 20 miles an hour. That was a compliment.
No, Tyreek Hill runs like 24.
It might be
17 is average.
That's
My bad.
It's a little bit
How
below
fast
average.
did you run in your prime, Leroy?
What was your 40 time?
4.4, 4.5.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Man,
Okay.
for a guy that size.
That is.
No,
What
hey,
did you- I
hey,
can't-
hey.
what was-
You know what? By the way, here's what has killed my life.
Wow.
Right?
Jeez.
And I want to be clear about this. I never played fullback. They just lined me up so they could get me the ball. And when I was in college, we ran the wishbone. And so, if you notice, when I played in the wishbone, I got on the bottom of the wishbone so I could carry the ball, not so I could block for somebody else. But for some reason, I became a fullback and a short yardage guy. Hey, and by the way, longest touchdown is 70 yards.
They ain't catch you, huh?
They ain't catch me.
Have you ever been caught from behind?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me
But
tell
not
you.
that time.
Hey, Leroy,
Think about this.
you were the guy.
We
wait
were
a
in
second.
Minnesota.
Leroy, you
was
were
playing-
the guy who famously said, You need 3. You need 1 yard. I'll get you 3 yards. You need 5 yards. I'll get you 3 yards. So you kind of pigeonhole yourself.
But check this out. Check this out.
He did. That's true.
You could go into the game thinking that all I was going to do is run over you.
Yeah.
That's your fault.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm fine with that.
You had some wiggle to you, Leroy?
Oh, I had some. Look, you know what they used to call me in Minnesota? The original toe popper. Quick as a cat. I was quick as a cat.
I'm asking Robert when he comes.
Ask Robert. Ask Robert.
Ask Robert.
Hey, ask Robert.
You know why people thought you were a fullback? Because you wore the largest shoulder pads ever issued in the history of the NFL.
That's true.
Blame Kevin Mack for that. When I got into the league, I was like, damn. They must be hitting up in here. Give me some of them K-Max.
Yeah, Kevin did have huge shoulder pads.
When I first got to Michigan, all of the running backs, Gerald White, Bob Perriman, they had these big old gigantic thigh pads. And I was like, oh, that's what we doing.
I remember those.
I
Those
got
had
the big old
ridges
thigh
on.
pads.
Yeah.
My legs barely moved, but I was protected. Right?
Yeah,
It wasn't until like my junior year I realized, hey man, I got to get these little pads so I can move.
Leroy, if you in the weight room, you don't need all them pads like that.
Shoot, I don't know what you talking about. hey, spoken like a guy who played in the secondary and didn't wear thigh pads.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I sure did not.
Right.
I used to cut mine. I used to cut mine so they didn't have to be
his
there.
jersey or whatever. Man, come on.
By the way, Leroy.
Nobody told you to play offense, Leroy. You could have played linebacker.
By the way, I got to give Leroy. I got to give Leroy this because everybody busts his chops about Michigan. My wife's brother, his brother-in-law, who I consider like a brother-in-law, we're good friends. He's a Michigan alum, and he went to Michigan the same time you did, and he said I was just talking to him this weekend. I saw him for the first time in a while. He goes, Leroy was my favorite player in college. Look at that. He's a Michigan guy.
All I did was play football, but I didn't. I don't think the fact that I played football made me any different than anybody else. So when I was on campus, I was a college kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had never really been out of the state of Louisiana. So I was enjoying it. And my whole thought was, if this is the last 4 years of my football career, then I'm going to make sure I take it all in, because we all think, that this is what our path is. But we don't know that for sure. And so one of my biggest regrets in football is this. We were 15-1 in Minnesota, and we were big favorites playing Atlanta in the NFC Championship game.
Oh, I remember.
And we lost, and it was over. And my regret is that I never got to appreciate being 15-1 because I always assumed that we would be in the Super Bowl. And now that it's over, it was like a wasted year of good football that I never really got a chance to enjoy.
Missed because the kicker who was perfect all year missed in the playoffs.
Right. It really sucked. It took me back to make me think about, hey man, we started this to have fun and to have a good time and to hang out with friends and stuff like that. It don't mean you don't put the work in. But at any point in time, if you don't appreciate and still keep it fun, then it's time to quit. Yeah. Because that's the whole part of it. When you watch guys play, right, win or lose, you want to see them having fun. You want to see them doing what they do best, and that's the only thing that kind of frustrates me with the Browns is that whenever they get into a situation, if it's do or die time, I want to see them do or die with the guys that got them there.
Yeah.
And that's my only complaint. That's my only complaint with that. You get inside the 10, and I got nothing against Jacoby Brissett, but that's not why you got there.
Right, ride your horse.
So I want to ride or die with Chubb or Hunt. And the thing is if you use them enough, it makes it easier on Jacoby Brissett. Now, keep in mind, at 6'4", 240, I'd rather my chances of Jacoby Brissett running that ball than him throwing a pinpoint pass. Right? Because he looked like he had a little bit of room.
Yeah.
Leroy.
The other thing is that I don't know what goes through quarterbacks' minds, because for some reason you go all over the league, they feel like they got to make the play because they're a quarterback. And a lot of times it gets them in trouble.
I watched Tom Brady's highlight reel. Leroy, do you know what a super chat is?
A what?
A super chat, because that's what I said too. I'm like, what the hell is a
Super chat? Is that when the election went bad? Or no, that's a hanging chat.
No, we're talking super chat. C-H-A-T.
Super chat.
Yeah, here's McNuggets to explain what the hell that is.
Yeah, so Leroy, we implemented Super Chat this week on the show, and pretty much fans or viewers watching can pay, and we'll read their comment. So this comes from Donnie M. This is not me. This is Donnie M on Super Chat. He paid $20 for us to read this to you. Leroy was Michigan's greatest fullback.
I don't think he wanted to know that he spent $20 to you just supposed to let that slide.
No, it pops up. It shows it on there. It is public domain, and information stays on for 10 minutes with the monetary value. But he says, Leroy was Michigan's greatest fullback. Go Bucks.
$20 to say that.
Yes. That is money well spent.
That is Donnie M.
Yes.
And he said fullback.
Hey,
Quote, Leroy was Michigan's greatest fullback. Go Bucks.
That's what I'm talking about.
you want to know? Here, I'm gonna tell y'all a story how I wore the Michigan banner proud. So every year in camp, the Ohio State coaches would come to Cleveland, right? And they have all their garb on, looking all nice and whatever. And so I said, I went up and shook all their hands, went down the line. They said, thank you. They say, well, what are you shaking our hands for? I say, because if it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't be here. And then one guy goes, who the hell are you? I say, oh, hold on. You used to see in the back of me. Let me turn around.
Wow.
So,
Wow, Leroy.
Hey.
Wow.
Hey, look, if we gonna do it, we gonna do it. I ain't never backing down.
I can't wait until a month from now.
You
around
can't wait.
Thanksgiving.
Listen,
it's
once
going
a year,
down. There's no hiding.
once a year, every day of the week,
That's going to be a fun week.
I wear Michigan stuff. And that's the only day I don't is Thanksgiving. And that's usually when, because keep in mind, back in the day, I only knew when Thanksgiving was because it was the Thursday after the Ohio State-Michigan game. Now they moved it to the following week.
Yeah.
So I take a day off of my Michigan stuff just for Thanksgiving because I need more room for pie.
I'm not even gonna go there with you. Just know that Wednesday of that week, we're gonna have a show. Just be ready.
That's going to be great.
Just be ready.
By the way,
no doubt.
By the way, Leroy in fourth place in the fantasy league.
Is he?
Fourth place.
That's not bad.
Right
Who's
now,
in fourth place?
you're in fourth place at a 10.
Don't even talk about me, bro. It's irrelevant.
9 out of 10.
It's
Hold on,
irrelevant.
hold on.
It's irrelevant.
Is it safe to make the assumption that because I beat him, he's below me?
Yes.
Tyvis is 9.
That's
I'm
all
10.
that matters.
What is wrong with y'all?
We kicked the
I
season
lost by like
off.
180
Listen.
points this week.
Listen, it's not about how you start. It's about how you finish.
That's a
true.
fact.
So
that is a
y'all
fact.
can
Yeah, but
sit
you
there
still
and
got
gloat,
the same
and
players.
it can easily.
I'm playing Leroy this week.
You can easily get a major injury, and it could be over with. So don't do that.
Yeah, but here's the problem. You're not going to win it in the first 5 weeks, but you damn sure can lose it. If you're 0-5, you're
I'm
not
not 0-5.
Oh, you're not.
I'm not.
What's your
No.
record?
He's
1-4.
Nobody's 0-5. Nobody's 0-5.
I got a chance.
You're ahead of McNuggets.
Leroy,
Yeah, I'm not
me
doing the
versus
stand-up
Leroy this
thing.
week.
Who's playing Leroy?
Me and Leroy in the battle for third place
What's the
right
matchup
now.
projection?
I'm a big favorite, but he's got some injured guys that he hasn't replaced yet.
Look at that.
All right.
Are you down
Yeah.
to my? You
He's
walking
got
to
his
my
tight
world.
end is out. Darren Waller's hurt, and you got Teddy Bridgewater in there.
Well,
He's
you'll
hurt
want to
also,
watch
too.
it at 12:45-ish because Dave Richard is going to be on for Waiver Wire Wednesday,
Yep.
and who knows, maybe he can tell you who you can pick up
there. Yeah.
to jump. Hey, let's talk specifically about the Browns' defense against the Patriots' offense. There's some talk that we don't know who's going to be quarterback, and I think this is quintessential Bill Belichick.
Oh, yeah.
But this is what Bill does. He's leaving some question as to whether or not it'll be Bailey Zappe who has played extremely well.
Has anybody ever heard of Bailey Zappe before
Yeah,
a week
Nuggets
ago?
did because he played at Houston Baptist
He
or
played at
something.
Houston Baptist and then
I
transferred
knew-
to Western
I had
Kentucky.
never heard of this guy.
I
before
knew
a
him
week
coming
ago.
out, and I was one of those guys that was like, he was interesting because he had the most passing yards and most touchdowns. So I was like,
Right.
oh, that's like, you don't do that by
FBS passing
accident.
records
Now,
last
for the
year.
record,
Yeah.
most teams considered him undraftable. But for a guy who started at Houston Baptist and went to Western Kentucky, listen to his numbers so far through a game and a half. 27 of 36, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And they lost to Green Bay in overtime, and they beat the Detroit Lions 29-0.
Yeah.
So it's not quite Tom Brady yet. He's
Wow.
got a little work to do.
Wait,
But it's
Hey, by the way,
interesting.
I mean, Detroit's got the worst defense
that
in
is how
football,
Tom
probably.
Brady started.
Tom Brady started
See,
because
we-
of an injury.
Yep.
No,
You're right.
but I'm saying when we look back at
Undraftable.
Tom Brady's career, we chalk up that first year as a Super Bowl year. But if you go look at his numbers, they were okay.
They were just okay. You're right.
Nothing special.
All right.
And so, now 20 years later, we like to go back and kind of, say, oh, Tom Brady was great right out of the gate, but he wasn't.
no, he was not.
And so, but here's what's gonna happen.
Do you want Zappe or Mac Jones?
It don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It
Here's what's
don't.
gonna
Yeah,
happen.
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I know go ahead and tell them because I know exactly what's going to happen. They can have me back at
Here's what's
quarterback.
gonna happen in this game. Here's what's gonna happen on this game on Sunday. Bill Belichick is gonna take one aspect of your game away,
Yep.
or try to,
Probably the run.
and that's running the football.
yeah.
And he's going to do whatever he can to stop Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and dare Jacoby Brissett to beat him.
And he knows
That's what he
Jacoby
does.
well.
And guess what? That's what he should do. However, there ain't been nobody in the NFL to stop these dudes. Nobody.
They can't.
Except the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, you're right. Stefanski
So-
has stopped them.
So it's okay to be a passing team, but understand where you start. And that's what I think. See, we all say when we get in those times, those crunch times, those times of need, we revert back to what we know best. Right? That's what we do. But we don't do that. Because at the end of that game, I don't care what the scenario is. I don't care if you go, motion, move them around, or whatever. Those two guys got to get the ball. Now, here's where coaching comes in. You just find creative ways to get them the ball instead of just turning around and handing it to them. That's how you change it up. Don't think, okay, we can just run up the middle. You might have to pull a trap. You might have to do a counter. You might have to do a lot of different things. But the ball need to be in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt's hands inside the 10. Because the worst way to lose in any sport, the worst way to lose is not even having an opportunity to go out with your best.
Yeah, don't get beat with your second best pitch.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. If you throw heat and you're a baseball pitcher, you throw heat, you would be absolutely livid if you throw a changeup and it get hit 400 feet.
Happens all the time.
Right.
But you're right.
Happens all the time. And the thing about coaches who have been in the league for a while is that they okay with throwing their best on the field and saying, come get some. It's the newer coaches, it's the analytics coaches that want to look at a piece of paper and determine the best way to beat the team across from them. And the problem is that, you know what beats other teams? Talent. I don't care what situation you put them in, at some point, they got to tackle Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Who has the most yards, breaking tackles? Nick Chubb. Which means that even if you don't block them all, it's no guarantee he's still not going to break it. Why wouldn't you test that theory?
Leroy, let's flip the other way, because you're right. I think we all agree with you on this. There's no doubt about it. But the other way, the Browns run defense the last 2 weeks has been about as bad as you could possibly be. The Patriots are a running team. They did lose their starter.
Even though their running back's out.
Right, one of them, Harris is out. But we've seen them. We saw them last year in that bad weather game run the ball every play. Like, do you think we'll see like 80? Like, could it be to the point where they run it 80% of the time, or is that too crazy?
But here's the thing, that you got to have either stones as a coach, or not care because you're secure in your job. To say, I'm only gonna throw it 3 times. How many coaches would do that? Somebody's going to get, we got to run a little play action. We got to do something. Yeah. No. You win the game. Just win the game. Get to next week. I don't care if it's 3-0. I think we get so caught up. Like I think a lot of NFL teams play like there's NFL rankings like in college. And they got to have impressive wins. Right? Instead of just winning the game. I don't want to, I've had conversations and people say, the Browns could have lost the first game, because they didn't finish and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Okay? Just win the game. Do whatever you got to do to win the game. And a lot of times, sometimes, the simplest of things is what'll get you there. So I'm not, I think that these are some of the things that Kevin Stefanski is still learning, because it's hard when you have the offense that he's capable of having to realize that I don't need half of this playbook, because the first 5 plays will win games than a lot of other teams, right? Run left, run right, play action over the middle. Right? That's it. Is that it? When they were running the hell out of the ball, Njoku seemed to look like a Pro Bowl tight end. But that's how the game is played for them right now. And so accept it and just move on. The fact that you could get to the crunch time in the game, and the difference between a lot of coaches and Bill Belichick is, I told you the story. We were in a playoff game against New England. Call a timeout. We're on the 10-yard line. It's windy. Everything's going crazy. We get me, Eric, and Vinny are on the sideline. Bill's talking about check this, blah, 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 blah. Break. Whistle blow. We go back on the field. And Bill just yells, "Hey, Vinny, don't screw it up like you did against Pittsburgh." Guess what? He handed it off. He didn't try to out-trick the defense. We blocked him up and scored. So sometimes the simplest of football gets it done more than this elaborate scheme you have. And I think sometimes Stefanski needs to understand that look, he's an unbelievable offensive coach. And I think a lot of times when you have so much knowledge and ability to get something done, it almost seems as if you are unwilling to do what everybody else would do, right? You take 20 coaches and put them in that situation at the end of the game, what they going to do? They're going to hand the ball off to Kareem Hunt. They're going to hand it off to Nick Chubb. They're going to have safe rollout plays. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to say to Jacoby Brissett, if it ain't there, run it. Because how many times have we heard a coach say that to a quarterback? They'll tell him, hey, field goal takes the lead. Don't do nothing stupid, right? So I don't know if it's a communication thing. I don't know, if, it's going to take, what it's going to take to just get, not necessarily simplify it, but understand who your playmakers are. Understand who the guys you can depend on no matter what, and then go from there.
Tell you what, Leroy, I think when it comes to the Browns defense, we talked about the running defense being terrible.
Dude,
don't you think it's all about, forget the players, forget the scheme. The Browns got to show some freaking pride on defense. They got to go out there and just kick some ass.
Oh,
Let's see how tough it is and hard. Let's see it.
Y'all sound like me a week ago.
Let's go.
No, hey, let me explain something. Tyvis can attest to this. any school, any team, any organization that you've ever played against that has had the elite pass rush that they have on the outside, right? You let them do what they do, and then you run right underneath it. One of the things that makes pass rush good or bad on defense is the pressure in the middle. If you don't have no pressure in the middle, then you know what you're going to see? Quarterback back up, take a step forward. Those two rush ends going to bang into each other, and then you go on about your way. And that's what happened. Now, my only concern is this. When it gets to the point when you realize that you can't do it that way and you can't get pressure up the middle just with your two tackles, then you got to find other ways to get pressure up the middle, right? We have a rule on offense. If we can't block them with 5, we'll leave 6 in. We can't block them with 6, we'll leave 7 in. But understand, if there's 7 men in, there's only 2 guys on the route. And so,
well, the Falcons did that to us and got a 40-yard completion.
Right. But that's what they do. That's what you do. That's football. You can't just keep doing the same thing and getting gashed without understanding what you got to do.
My issue with it, Leroy, is this. Because a lot of times, people think it's the linebackers, and they're like, wow. And don't get me wrong, our linebackers do look inexperienced at times. But I was looking at it, and it's like, you asking me to play linebacker, but how am I supposed to do what I'm supposed to do when I got my defensive tackles is in my lap? So, yeah, the Browns did a great job. You go out and you go trade for a linebacker, but he's going to get in there and get the same problem. I got 2 defensive tackles in my lap. I can't move to make the play. So they need to, why will they not go out there and address that situation? That's the frustrating part to me.
Well,
the glare issue for this defense and why it doesn't work, yeah, you got some inexperienced linebackers, but it's because you don't have no dogs. You need somebody with an attitude that can play in the middle and at least take up a double team or at least at worst stand your ground. Don't get blew off the ball. And that's, until we get that, it's going to be, they run, trap, and dive all game.
Right, and that's what they're doing. They're going off tackle. They pushing either Clowney or Myles Garrett up the field, and they're going right underneath them. But here's what I would do, Tyvis. What you have to do is stun them. You gotta create for those guys. We do it on offense. When you can't block them up in the middle, then you do some things to kind of still get the job done, but you got to be more creative with it. I don't understand.
That's what's been lacking,
at
though,
what
Leroy.
point? Huh?
That's exactly what's been lacking, though. You're not getting pressure from your DNs, yet you're not drawing up any other blitz schemes to try to send more guys after the quarterback.
Like
there is zero creativity in this defense.
He's stubborn.
Let's bring Robert into the conversation, too, because he's here as well.
Watch. Ask him.
Yeah,
Ask him.
Robert, what was Leroy's nickname in Minnesota?
That's funny. I don't know. Mouth?
No. What did Carl call me? What did Carl call me?
I don't remember.
The original toe popper.
See, but we also had the ads, the ass dude. So we had I was light ass dude. There was dark ass dude, chocolate ass dude, and Leroy was Tad, T-A-D, talking ass dude.
So hey, everybody else had a color, and they just did. I think they did that just so they could say I talk a lot. That's it.
Yeah.
It was effective, though. It worked.
I remember Leroy had TMJ, which is like a jaw condition. And we said, no, TMJ, it's got a new meaning now. It's too much John.
Hey, so Robert, check this out. So, and you've played enough offense, and you've heard enough offensive coordinators say this, that when you go through a course of a game, and you having problems protecting the quarterback, that offensive coordinator would come to the sideline and say, hey, if we can't block them with 5, we're going to block them with 6. If we can't block them with 6, we're going to block them with 7. That's just the way we're going to do things. And defensively, if we start gashing them and running the football, the safeties start creeping in. Now, the way it worked with us was when you see those safeties coming up, that was a Randy Moss pass.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know he one-on-one and he could outrun everybody. So you have counters to everything that either the offense or the defense does, and you kind of play this game during the whole course of the game. I don't understand with the Browns why they continue to do the same thing and think that it's going to get better.
Stubborn.
Because they got defensive tackles 10 yards down the field because they getting blowed off the line of scrimmage, right? And nobody on the sideline say, hey, maybe we ought to change it up a little bit. Let's move them around a little bit. Let's get some linebacker help or something, right? They just keep doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's wild. And and
200 yards.
I heard Tyvis talking about it. He's right. And this is, they came into the game. The Chargers came into the game as one of the worst rushing offenses in the league. Averaging just under 3 yards a carry, and ran for I think 170 yards more than their season total, season average. So, yeah, you're right, man. You got to do something different. And if it's not, it's got to be extra bodies if you don't have the personnel. And if you don't have the personnel from week to week, you got to think about replacing that personnel. And I agree. You bring in Dion Jones at linebacker. It's the same. It's the same solution that you've been doing. And what do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And it seems like they're doing the same thing over and over. You look around the league and, I've had the opportunity to call, games in different places this year, and teams just get creative. Vance Joseph last week, Arizona Cardinals defensive coordinator, going against Philadelphia, he brings a lot of pressure out of the secondary. And a lot of it is, to counter run. It's not just a counter pass. I think people always think of extra bodies as, being there, for blitzing and pressuring the quarterback. But sometimes you got to do that in a run. But it's always give and take, right? Like you said, if it's a 7 or an 8-man protection, you might only get 2 or 3 out into the route. And if you bring extra bodies up into the line of scrimmage to try and stop the run or to generate pressure, then you're going to leave yourself exposed on the back end.
Which is the last thing this defense can afford to do.
Well, here's the deal, though. When you're getting gashed for 200 yards, at that point, it doesn't matter if you give up a pass. Just don't give up. Stop something.
Yeah.
You got to stop something.
That's what I was saying.
You have got to stop. You can't let a team just run the ball down your throat, period.
That's the easiest thing to do, is let them run.
Absolutely. Turn around and hand the ball off. At least you're throwing the ball can get tipped, ball can get dropped, ball can get intercepted. That's that old saying, you drop back to throw the ball and, 3 things can happen and 2 of them are bad. You have to try and stop the run first. That's the first goal of any defense. And you're right. If you're not controlling gaps up front, or even worse, if you're getting pushed back to the linebacker level so those guys can't move, let alone flow, you got no chance.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've seen the last couple of weeks. Leroy, I know you've got to run. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully next week we're celebrating a win and not dissecting the same nonsense week after week.
Well, my advice to the Browns is stop the damn run.
Stop the run. Before we let you go, do you think they win Sunday?
Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. What's his name? Zappe?
Bailey Zappe.
Bailey Zappe.
Don't say that. That boy led. He broke the record in college. Don't do that.
Broke the where? At
Most
Saginaw State?
most passing
Saginaw
yards
State.
and most passing touchdowns in college history.
Yeah, but usually the guys that hold those records in college aren't good in the NFL.
That's fine.
No, I know,
He
but
got-
they usually don't go to play for Bill Belichick.
That's true, too.
Fair. That's fair. Those are sweet-looking uniforms right there.
Yeah, those are their best.
I like the old school ones.
He got
Yeah.
he can
With the little
pass the
Patriot.
ball. That's all I
Hey, listen, Leroy, enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, buddy.
And we'll see you next
Alrighty.
week, hopefully talking about a Browns
right.
victory. Robert,
Yeah.
do you have a gut on this one? Because, I mean, right now the conversation is it's going to be a victory. Leroy says, yeah, it's going to be a win. Bull actually guaranteed a victory. Bull said that they would win or he would wear a Baker Mayfield jersey on the show, which blew me away.
And I can't stand Baker Mayfield.
He said bet
Wait,
the house,
wait,
but he did
wait a
say
minute.
don't bet my house,
Carolina
bet your house.
or Browns?
I said I was going to buy a Carolina Panthers.
They
Browns.
gotta win.
I'm buying a cheapy one though if it happens, but
They gotta
but
win.
I will buy it.
You're not going to have to spend a whole lot on it.
No,
You get it on the discount rack.
he's already. I mean, it's a good point. By the way, Rob, is there any chance Baker Mayfield is a starter next season in the NFL?
Wow, man! Yeah, you never say never, and
Right.
You never figure, you figure that a desperate team is going to do something really crazy. I just don't see it. I don't know what it is. I can't imagine the scenario that he's a starter next year. What if he's out for the next 2 to 6 weeks? I mean, I just can't see it.
Boy, he goofed. He could have
Yeah.
taken the Browns to the cleaners. They had a decent offer on the table for him.
Yeah.
And he decided to bet on
Blew it big
himself.
time.
That's a bad decision.
And to be fair, listen, I am enjoying his struggles this year, but I didn't think he'd be this bad.
I don't think
For all the times I've crushed him, I thought he was mediocre, not terrible.
What were you saying 2 years ago when he got him into the playoffs?
Right.
I mean,
He
serious
played well
question.
the second half of that season. He played very well.
Well, the coaching.
Yeah, I mean,
coaching
but
has
what did you-
something
but what
to
did
do
you
No,
think
but
of
he
him
gets
then?
credit. He played well. He did.
What did you think of him then?
I mean, I didn't want to sign him then because I thought he had more to prove, and I'm glad they didn't because he did have more to prove, and he's been a disaster ever since.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. Like, quarterback is just such a difficult position to play. First of all, there are just so many things that go into it. But it's amazing to me kind of seeing transitions like that to the bad side. And I just don't get it. Like, and a lot of quarterbacks like golf, man. A lot of times, we talk about this. Like, it's not how good you are at your best; it's how bad you get at your worst.
Yeah.
We all hit some pars and some birdies, but on your worst holes, are you bogey or are you ball in pocket? And quarterbacks, man, they rarely seem to go that way until they get old and they start losing arm strength, things like that, and mobility. But a younger guy, you look at Baker Mayfield, you look at Carson Wentz, and you think, man, I don't know what happened to these guys.
Yeah.
And I
Jared
think part
Goff
of it is-
too.
Well, Robert.
yeah,
let me-
yeah. Well, Jared's been up and down, but yeah, I think sometimes guys get it into their head and they say that they're not listening to the things on the outside, but these errors start to accumulate and they just seem to be gone mentally. And once they're gone, I don't think they can ever.
It's like they get the yips. But Robert, what's interesting about that is we have seen that because normally you're right. Once you've established yourself as a front top tier quarterback in the league, in the old NFL, you could stay there until you started showing a physical decline. But just go back in the last 10, 15 years. I remember when RG3 came into the league, and everybody said, wow. I mean, I think it was Ron Jaworski said, this guy's a Hall of Famer.
Wow, after the first
But
season?
listen, a lot of people.
Well,
He was great as a rookie.
As a
he had
rookie,
an injury.
He said,
Yeah.
he said Ron Jaworski also said that Colin Kaepernick would be the best quarterback to ever play the game.
Right. So, and there's another example. So, once upon a time, you had guys like Carson Wentz and certainly RG3, Colin Kaepernick. These guys were playing at a very high level, and nobody could imagine 5 years down the road that they would be completely washed out of the NFL. Now, Carson Wentz is a big guy. Everybody's still intoxicated off what he once was. But I think sometimes, Robert, when you're one-dimensional, what the NFL is so good at doing, and primarily because Belichick started that trend, what do you do? Well, it's like baseball. What pitch can't you handle? Or you don't like the low and away curve. Well, then all of a sudden the book is out and all you see is the low and away curve. And I think with Baker, teams realized don't let him roll out. If you let him roll out, he can hurt you. So they started pinching the wings, keeping him in the pocket. He's not a mobile guy. And perhaps the league just found out where his weakness was. They forced him to beat them with that weakness, and he's proven not to be able to do it.
Yeah, and, I think when you look at that, well, RG3, first of all, his was more injury related.
He did have an injury.
Yeah, but it's the same point, though. Your point is valid. Like, if he can't get to the edge, if he doesn't have the mobility, if he doesn't have that part of his game, and we force a guy to throw from the pocket, what's he going to be able to do? Now, you get a guy like Lamar Jackson, you get a guy like Kyler Murray, and those things sound great in theory, but they're just, such incredible athletes that, they'll find a way, right? Like they have just been able to find a way to escape, but that's just because of what they can do physically, so different. But yeah, man, it's tough. And I don't like to see it with anybody. Like, I don't have any negative feelings towards any player, and especially for a guy that's been successful, and because of the playoff drought in Cleveland and what Baker was able to do up there, I've hated to see it. Now, from an attitude standpoint, and I think probably just from a mentality standpoint, just kind of how he's always kind of had that chip on his shoulder. It certainly has made him press a little bit, but I think ultimately it's just come down to what are the skills that he has. And you're right, if he can't throw from the pocket, then he's kind of lost.
Robert, the Buckeyes are obviously it's a bye week for the Buckeyes. Through the 6 weeks,
much needed, right?
Yeah, they definitely they got some injuries over there. Through the first 6 weeks, what's impressed you the most, and what is it that concerns you the most?
Well, what impresses me the most, I think, is just the depth of the wide receiver position. I mean, amazing. The catches that Marvin Harrison made last week, it's incredible. You talk about Egbuka, you talk about Fleming, and not even, I mean, and the name not mentioned, right? Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's just not being healthy. It's just been incredible to me.
Do you think he need to come back to go first round, or you think he should just sit it on out and just get ready for the draft?
I don't think he needs to come back to play first round. I think he will, though. I think he's going to come back and play. I don't see the guy sitting out. I know that we've seen players in the past when teams are in lesser bowls will decide to sit out, but I think he'll be back, and I think he'll be what we've seen. It's just crazy to think, with 3 wide receiver sets, you got, one of those guys sitting out, right? Somebody
yeah, when he comes back.
Yeah, right.
One of them's going to take a seat.
It'll be Julian Fleming. That's
will
the
be.
sad part.
Can't they just use them all?
Nobody runs him. No, because the tight ends doing so well. You got to keep him on.
No, but I mean, not on every play.
No,
But
you can run him.
I mean, Fleming's going to play. He's just not going to start.
And by the way, Robert, I mean, I can't believe C.J. Stroud has thrown 3 picks. I mean, what a slacker. Okay? Pull it together, will you?
I think last week it was clearly a miscommunication.
Yeah.
Setting up the defensive backs.
He's been amazing.
But yeah.
Is it anything that concerns you about them?
Like that.
Robert?
I was getting ready to say. I mean, you think about, Burke at the cornerback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about it, because that's where I'm at too.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about that for weeks, and what concerns you about it is that, mistake after mistake after mistake, and he's still in there. So you're wondering, okay, well, what's behind him at that point, right? Like. If you think that a guy like that, and Urban Meyer said something interesting, when he was talking about offenses and kind of their philosophy going into a game or on a particular play, and he said, you got to find the fish, right? And finding the fish means you find that target on that defense that you go after time and time again. So when it's crunch time, and you get a guy like that has difficulty tracking the ball in the air, it seems, you can get him in a position where, through a penalty or just a flat out getting beat, that you can go after him. But I think, otherwise, I thought the defense, it's been improving, and I think Jim Knowles, he's obviously got an incredible scheme, and those guys have played well. Michael Hall had 2.5 sacks last week, so that defensive
2.5 sacks on 7 plays.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
It's incredible.
I'd take Jim Knowles right now for the Browns defensive coordinator.
Well, you got to have.
laughing.
I know
You got to have Mike Hall at D tackle.
Do the Browns get to play the same opponents that Ohio State does?
No, but it's to Robert's point, it's the scheme. Like last year, this defense looked broken at times, and he doesn't have the personnel that he needs to run exactly what he wants to run here. But he's taking his X's and O's with Jimmy's and Joe's that aren't recruited to play in that scheme, and he's making it look pretty good. Now, granted, he's doing it against some bad football teams. How will it hold up against Michigan, Penn State, and into the playoffs? I don't know, but so far, what he's done, Robert, has been very, very impressive to me at least.
Yeah, it has been. And then, after the bye week, get Iowa, get Penn State. I'm really interested to see kind of, defensively against Iowa. I don't know how many problems you have.
Yeah.
I saw the stat the other day. Marvin Harrison Jr. has more touchdowns than the Iowa football team.
Oh my gosh!
9-7. I mean, that's just it sounds that 9-7 sounds like an Iowa score, but I really want to see the offense against Iowa's defense. We saw that Michigan had struggles at times, so
they did. Yeah.
That'll be an interesting matchup. But man, we got to talk these quarterback decisions though, and I know you guys have probably already beat this thing to death with Jacoby Brissett, with that interception. Man, I saw the same thing last week. I, had the opportunity to call the Eagles at the Cardinals last week, and I don't know if you guys saw the ending of that one.
I did.
Yep.
Man, there was a situation. Jalen Hurts he's been playing so well.
Yep.
But they had an opportunity to go first and second and goal. And they ran the ball, and they're going to try and throw on third down. And we said this before the throw. It was, the thing I was thinking, back in my days, when you're a running back and you're down at the goal line, a lot of bodies around you, running back coach used to always say, if you try and extend the ball, you get the ball away from your body where you can't protect it anymore, you better know something, right? And that's something that you better know is that nobody can knock the damn ball away. Nobody's in position to knock the ball away. You go into a situation like that at the goal line, you're a quarterback, and you only need 3 points to go up, right? You're in a tie game situation. You better throw the ball in a place where it can't get touched. You better throw a ball where it can't get tipped in the air and intercepted. Sure enough, ball gets tipped in the air. Fortunately for them, fell to the ground. Nobody was able to intercept it. Go down the field, bad quarterback decisions again by Kyler Murray. It's second down, dives near a first down, thinks he has it. He doesn't. 22 seconds left in the game. They spike the ball on the next play thinking that they had a first down, and then they're forced into a field goal. And, you have Amendola as the backup kicker, and he pushes that thing. And I bring all this up in thinking about Jacoby Brissett in that 3rd and 7 situation last week. All you need is a field goal to go up in that game, and you just can't make that throw unless you know. He wasn't able to track the linebacker on that, drop back underneath it. Even if that ball gets over the linebacker,
it's still going to be picked.
That thing might have been picked anyway.
Because Cooper was not open at all.
Terrible decision.
You can't make that throw. And in these, last week's, I know, what is it, November 14th, that Deshaun Watson's going to be able to start practicing. In these last weeks, man, you can't afford to make decisions like that. Especially can't do things like that against New England.
Thanks, Robert.
Robert, great to see you. You got a game this weekend, or are you off this weekend?
No, we have Arizona again. Arizona at Seattle. So it'll be good, man.
Gino's playing great.
Geno Smith is playing great.
We've called them a couple of times this year, but it'll be interesting to see and interesting to hear the interview with Kyler Murray and with Cliff and talking about that situation that they had at the end of the game.
Yeah, let's hear what they have to say
I'm
about
also curious to see Kenneth Walker in the lead back role because Penny's done for the year. He had a bad injury.
Yeah.
Robert, 30 seconds before we let you go. Michigan and Penn State, the big game on the schedule this weekend in the Big Ten. Who do you like?
Snooze fest.
Wow, man. Wow. I'm gonna have to. I hate to do this.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I got to do it. I mean, Michigan's been on a mission, you know, and Corum has been fantastic. So I know Tyvis is he's mouthing it. He's like,
I don't get this. If I were you guys, I'd want Michigan to be undefeated when they play the Buckeyes.
I always
then
do.
if you beat them, it's even more meaningful.
I want to wreck their season.
Yeah, but they're terrible.
Yeah.
Well, they're not terrible.
But
Robert?
you never. First of all, never. It never bothers me to see them lose. It's like the Packers, man.
Yeah.
I don't care who they're playing. I've never been upset after a Michigan or a
Fair enough.
It makes me laugh.
Well, it's like the year that Michigan lost to Michigan State on that wild play at the end.
Yeah.
And I was going nuts. I was like, this is great. And then I looked at the standings and the schedule, and I started figuring things out.
It was bad
like,
for us.
That just cost Ohio State the Big Ten championship.
Bad for us.
But I still reveled in the moment that Michigan
That's right.
lost the game in that way and gave us the meme forever of the Michigan fan in the end zone with his hands up going like, what the hell just happened?
I don't know if you've ever seen this, but you have to look up. There's a taxidermist that did like a bunch of chipmunks recreating the block punt. And
I gotta look that up.
McNuggets is on it. If we can find it, we'll share it with our audience. Robert Smith,
Robert.
great to see you, man.
Okay, guys, take it
man.
easy.
Always good. All right, he's got Michigan over Penn State. I think you're right. I don't know. I'm just not bought. I haven't bought in on either one of these teams.
Yeah,
I don't think they've played anybody. I know Ohio State hasn't either.
The team up north had literally the worst strength of schedule in college football.
Yeah, the
and
Big
then
Ten's
Desmond
in
Howard
rough
comes
spot
out
this
and
year.
says, "Let me know when Ohio State plays somebody." And it's like, dude, your own team hasn't played anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what you expect from them. So.
We're going to talk. You want us to continue the conversation? Browns
Yeah,
defense
just
against Patriots
couple
offense.
minutes. We haven't had a chance to discuss it with
Right.
ourselves. We've had 3 guests.
How
Right
do you
before,
win
guys, right before when we first brought Leroy on, or in the conversation, I said, and you mentioned this last week, is like, this guy, you last week went crazy, and you were dead on.
I went, yeah.
No. It
You
was
had seen
beautiful.
enough.
It was beautiful. And you were like, somebody's got to grab somebody and say, let's freaking go here. And if they can't do something, listen, they're a little limited in the run defense. We understand that. But there's no excuse to be as bad as they've been. Nobody's expecting them to be a great run defense right now. But be adequate.
Here's what scares me when I was listening to Robert Smith talk about Urban Meyer, and I had heard Urban Meyer say that before. When you're Bill Belichick and you're looking at, so how are we going to attack it?
You find a weakness and you exploit it.
Yeah. So here's what Bill is doing right now. He's got his fish finder over the Browns defense, and he's like, holy hell, we can get big ones here, we can get big ones here, we can get big ones here. He's sitting in a lake filled with fish, filled with weak spots that you can attack. And that's what Bill does. Find the weakness and go for the juggler.
True, but he doesn't have the great talent he's had in the past. And, you know, you can have an
It's not, but see, running the ball, it doesn't really require talent. It's a mindset.
Well, but
look what he did last year. Because I wasn't impressed with that Patriots team last year.
No.
45-7.
Man.
Yeah, that was an ugly game.
No, but here's my fear.
They did
I think that when Bill is playing a team that has a lot of talent and his talent is down, he has a chance, but he doesn't always win those games. He's a 500 coach since Tom Brady left. But the one thing Bill will always do, when there is a big disparity in the coaching staffs, he guts the team like a fish. And I think that Campbell's way over his skis in Detroit. And I think despite the fact that they had the leading scoring offense in the NFL, Bill saw it as smoke and mirrors, and he's like, no. We're going to do this. We're going to do that.
Right.
He always figures out how to solve the Rubik's Cube. What scared me most about the 45-7 loss last year to these guys was I said, is Stefanski that overrated? That was a chess match. Bill was playing chess. Everything he did worked, and Stefanski had no answers. I'm really looking at this game When this year there is a clear talent advantage
He do that
for the Browns. I want to see what happens this time.
Stefanski lose like that again.
It's not going to be good.
It's going. You think people been talking about him being fired
he
before?
cannot have another blowout loss.
Damian Harris is out. He's out. We got him as one of the Patriots
He's out,
stars.
but
Stevenson's a good player.
Stevenson's good.
Great
But
player.
it doesn't matter. They're fine. It doesn't matter. As you said, the Falcons had nobody at running back, and they killed the Browns. So it's about some pride defensively. I'm not worried about the offense. Bill Belichick, we could talk about he takes things. No. You can't take away the Browns' running game. There might be 1 or 2 games this year where it gets taken away, maybe, but I'll believe it when I see it. I don't think anybody can stop the Browns' run right now. Nobody.
If there's someone that can do it, it's this guy.
But they've gotten gashed twice by the 2 good run teams they faced. I think it was Minnesota and I can't remember the other team now, but they faced 2 good running
Green Bay,
teams.
I think, ran it all over them.
And Green Bay, right.
Bay
or
ran
maybe
it
it wasn't
all
even,
over
I don't know. But there's 2 games where they got crushed in the run against good backs, and there's nobody's got a better backfield
Well,
than the
then
Browns.
if that's the case, then the Browns is watching a ton of Green Bay fans. But you know what the difference? You know the difference is the Patriots, after they went against Green Bay and they seen how they got gashed, they probably spent a ton of time
Fixing it.
Fixing it.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is teams is going to come out and say, well, let's see if they fixed it. Let's go ahead and run
Tyvis,
it.
that's called coaching.
Well, yeah, and I
they do
agree.
it, and they do
this
it.
is where my part is with
We've
Joe
had the
Woods.
same problem week
that's
after
my
week
point.
after week after
with
week.
Joe Woods, it's like, are you okay? So you see the problem, and y'all go out on the field on
Coach it up.
Sundays, and y'all go over this. Are you just going past it and not making sure that they got it, or is y'all just, I don't know? Because if there's no need to go to the next period if we don't have it, if we still can get gash, we can't move on. Like, how can you install something else if you haven't fixed the problem? Like that, and that's the part that gets me. It's like, why are you moving on so quick? You have to make sure that these guys got it, because this is a copycat league. Not only are they not, you're going to see it again, every team is going to run it to make sure to see if you got it
That's
fixed.
why when I was watching the second half of the Falcons, and I said, the term I used at the time was, they figured out the cheat code. They found it. It took them a half, but once they found it, they were like, they could have given it to the guy selling popcorn, and he was going to have positive yardage. It was a 10-yard run every single play.
I also believe it's some players that's out of position too. I'm about over the JOK experiment at will. I think he's a Sam linebacker.
Well, they got to use him and his skills.
And that's what I'm saying. They don't. He's not using anybody out there. John Johnson is not. As G. Bush would say, he hasn't made a play since he's been.
No,
That's not true. That's not true.
He's been a disappointment.
First game, he had a sack. Guess why he had a sack? They blitzed him. Why is he good? When he was with the Rams, why was he good? Because he was in the box. He was around the ball. You making him play the post safety, that's not what he's good at. You're not going to get any production from him.
His whole defense is kind of passive, isn't it? I mean, not just,
like I say, the linebackers to me is already inexperienced, but fundamentally, they're not that great, but it's not helping that their defensive tackles is in their laps. It's a hard ass for me to try to. I have a responsibility. I have to get this running back, and I have to see where it's going. And as I'm looking to see where the running back is going, my defensive tackle is in my way, so I got to move him out too.
And you're undersized.
Have we heard anything about whether Dion Jones is going to be able to come back and play this week?
They said he about to come back.
He was activated. Mary Kay says, "quote There's an excellent chance he plays this weekend."
But it's not going to. If your defensive tackle is in your lap, I don't care if Ray Lewis is the linebacker.
Here's what I want to ask you. He doesn't know the system?
Yes, he does.
How?
Dan Quinn ran the same system when he was the Falcons head coach.
Same verbiage? I doubt it.
Yeah, it's pretty much all the same.
It is.
Because all of them
there's
came.
No learning curve.
So everybody came from Seattle. Dan Quinn was in Seattle when it was installed. So he knows it probably better than Joe Woods knows it.
So you think he's going to walk in, he's going to be up to speed?
He knows the system. It's all literally the same term.
So we're going to look better then. If he's out there, you think the defense is going to look a lot better?
He should bring some attitude, and he should have answers. He should be able to It should be like a coach on the field.
I hope he rediscovered the dog.
The only issue though is you still don't have the defensive tackles.
Why wouldn't you? My problem. I mean, if these two guys, if they're starting defensive tackles are the 2 worst in the league, why wouldn't they bring in somebody? Why wouldn't they?
Financial reasons.
Give some. Then
they have cap room.
Then use some guys on the bench.
For now, yeah.
For now.
The guys on the bench can't be any worse than the guys who are playing
why
now.
Why not sign Ndamukong Suh to a 1-year contract?
Well, Ndamukong Suh says he wants to go to a contender, and if he don't think the Browns is
maybe the Browns.
Yeah, here's the problem. If he'd have come here 3 weeks ago, maybe the Browns would be a contender, and they're 1 game out of first place.
Well, it's possible they reached out to him and he wasn't interested.
Well, yeah, they said that they've been in communications with him, and he's been watching the system, watching the scenario. You want to see how things fold out.
You know, if I'm Cleveland, I do this. I call him right now and say, here's the deal. We're dropping you, and he needs dance partners. He needs people to negotiate up the price. If I was Cleveland, I would say the offer's on the table until Friday at noon.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
That's how you do it?
Yeah. Take it or leave it. You want to play?
Fine.
If you don't want to be here,
they need to get him and Sheldon
know
Richardson. They need two.
These defensive tackles, as bad as they've been, they are NFL players. Let's go. Show a little freaking pride here.
I agree.
And I'm not worried about Matthew Judon or anybody at Patriots.
Oh, whoa, Judon, my boy.
See, I am worried about
we
that.
worked out
I'm worried about that pass rush.
Exos together.
I'm not saying he's not a really good player. He's excellent, but the Browns' offensive line's done a great job.
Is he leading the league in sacks right now?
Yes, he is.
He's tied for first in sacks.
And their whole defense is they eat opposing quarterbacks.
But the Browns have done a great job protecting Brissett.
You know what the sad
Brissett
thing
hasn't
is?
been sacked twice in a game this year. Has not. The Patriots, I'll double check. I believe they're second in sacks.
How many sacks?
Pressures.
How many times has Brissett been sacked? Period. Not many.
5 times. It's one per game.
The
I mean,
sad thing is
yeah.
I got a bunch of friends on the Patriots. My boy Raekwon is the middle linebacker. I trained with Judon for the combine. I trained with Jay Jones at corner for the combine, and I played with Kendrick Bourne as a receiver at San Fran. So I like to see my boys do well, but I do want the Cleveland
Not
Browns
this
to
week.
win.
Yeah, your boys this week are the
I
Browns.
need the Browns to win this game.
All right,
better.
we're
Man,
going
we
to do
need
good
some
bet, bad
balls
bet.
I don't want to have to
No,
buy
we're
that
going to
Baker
skip
jersey.
good, bad, bad. We're going to play a little true and false.
Yeah.
We have the good bet, bad bets. We'll update them. Anthony's going to head out here and get you guys your whiteboards here.
All right.
Because we have
Oh,
3,
that's right.
I'm not doing the large ones.
I want
Paul
Jay's
has
board.
avoided his
Bull-
punishment
Bull lucked out.
and does
I get
not
the
have to
biggest.
use the massive board.
The biggest? Oh,
I'm
Marcus.
using Jay's board.
I
It's
see.
good luck.
Thank
No,
you.
that's my board, dog.
I came in second place last week. I get to make these demands.
My board.
Here, for the two
Do
of
you have
you.
erasers too,
His
Anthony?
board,
Oh, Jay's
good
already
luck.
got one.
This one, you know what? This one's look. Because this is my board. It's got the Sharpie and the eraser on the
All
end.
right.
I didn't even
So I can
use
write
that.
Here we go. I'm finally getting off the schneid here today, hopefully.
Is it Dion Jones?
It is Dion Jones.
No, it's not. That's
Good
insane.
guess.
What are we going to know about this guy?
That's the whole point. Get to know the newest player.
Okay,
around.
get
We
to
did
know
Ethan
Dion
Pochik
Jones.
to
Here we
start.
go.
Now,
That's how we
he
started.
knew it was Dion Jones.
I guessed it upstairs.
So you did research the
No, I
hell
didn't.
out of Dion
No, I
Jones this
didn't.
week.
It just was obvious. He's the hot thing right now.
Yeah, you didn't research it at all?
Interesting. Interesting.
Why would I do? I'm not a cheater.
Because you love to win.
Wow. I almost won.
Cheaters
G.
don't
Bush
win.
ain't here,
All
so
right.
I should be good to go.
All right, here
You
we
guys know
go.
how this works. We have 8 questions and a tiebreaker. All about Dion Jones. We're going to get to know the Browns' newest linebacker. Steve, let's take the music and show the first question. Number 1. Jones has been named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week twice in his career. Once in 2017 after a game against the Saints, and once in 2018 after a game against the Buccaneers. Is that true, or is that false?
He had a great rookie year,
Had a great rookie year.
and he's been a little up and down since, but still.
Was he rookie?
Pretty good
He
player.
was either rookie, defensive
I
rookie
thought
of the
he
year
was defensive
in the
rookie of the
NFC,
year.
or he was in the running for it. But okay, show our answers.
Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
Let's see. True, false, and true. Someone's going to get out to a lead here. Let's see who takes the early lead. And Jay, with a smirk on his face, is right. It is false.
Was it more than
Talk
two?
about-
He's a one-time defensive
about
player.
you.
There we go.
2018
What you know
game
about the guy?
Did not exist.
I don't like these questions. That
You,
doesn't tell us
you
anything about
researched
him.
it?
No, I didn't research that. You're the one that
Just
thought
a
it was gonna
random
happen.
number of.
All right, one for me, none for the bad guys.
Jeez.
Number 2. Let's take it, Steve. Jones won the Buckeyes Award as a senior in 2015, which is given annually to the best linebacker in college football. True or false?
It's gonna be a bad week for me.
Is everybody ready?
The cards are in.
False, false, false.
Why y'all-
Let's see. You guys are on. He was a finalist. He did not win the
He had a
Buckeyes
great
Award.
year at LSU.
He
his
did
last
have a
year.
great senior year.
If
But
he,
he did
would, if
not
he
win.
wasn't the Buckeyes, he wouldn't have went second round.
All right,
Yeah,
no
right
blood,
there.
no foul there. 2-1.
Number 3. Steve, let's take it. Jones led Jesuit High School to back-to-back Louisiana State championships as a sophomore and a junior. He lost in the championship game his senior year.
Man.
That's good music right here.
I literally just said I like this music.
No, this,
Yeah, it was
this
good.
is it. I could even
Creates
use a little bit
drama.
more volume.
Makes me think of
it's
Who Wants to
definitely
Be a
good.
Millionaire or something like that.
Right. Thinking.
Well, I'd like to
Everybody
be a
ready?
millionaire.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's see. True.
What's wrong with y'all?
Let's see.
I'm about to just go against the grain.
It's false.
Oh,
Jones' high school was terrible. They won a combined 8 games in his last 3 years.
you know what sucks is I'm overthinking it.
I'm overthinking it.
I am too. When he said he lost in the championship game
Right.
his senior year, I'm like, oh, he just slipped up and
Plus,
told us what happened.
the first 2 were false, so I was like, he can't do 3 falses in a row.
Well, I'm in
He
your
can
head,
do
man.
all falses.
You are in my head.
There might be 8 falses here.
He could do that. He could do that. And,
All right.
we're going to keep going true, thinking
I
eventually
know.
it's going to be true.
That's funny.
That's true.
This is.
Now we're going to talk ourselves into all rubber
Yep.
false.
Number 4.
All right, come on, Ryan Seacrest.
Jones's parents don't call him Dion. They call him Debo.
I don't
Damn
know.
you, Mike.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, wow, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I can see that though. Like,
Is everybody ready?
Yep.
I am.
Wait,
see.
no, Tyvis. Oh, here we go.
True, false, true. Let's see it.
No way he's starting with 4 false in a row.
Yeah, baby.
Not only do his parents call him Debo, his Twitter handle is simply Debo.
Oh,
Hey, I'm actually
nice.
not in last here. That's
I'm
first
right.
time in a while.
4.
I'm about to play.
Bull
I'm
has
about to have a
2,
big bull.
Jay has 3, and Tyvis has 1.
Okay.
All right, let's go. It's all the board.
Number 4, or number 5,
I'm
excuse me.
trying to tell you. That's what I wanted it.
Jones didn't miss a single game in his collegiate career, playing in all 51 possible games for LSU. Is that true? Or is that false?
That's tough. I'm out of it anyways. I'm down 2.
You're not out. We got 3 more. We got 4 more questions, including this one, right?
Yeah, well, it's not over. By any
There's
stretch.
3 more after this one.
Yeah.
It is if
Yeah,
we all
after this
if we all answer the same thing.
Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Ready?
Let's see it. False, true, false. And the answer is Tyvis is back in the game.
Oh.
He played in all 51. He is now just 1 behind
did you
Jay,
put?
and he's tied up. with
51
Bull.
of 53. I thought the 51 was too few games because I thought they would have been in the playoffs a couple years while he was there.
No, that is true. He played in all 51 of his opportunities.
So 3-3-1.
No, 3-3-2. No,
Yeah,
3. You have 3. We have
got
2.
Yeah.
Oh,
He up here writing it down.
Jay's
Hell yeah, bro.
Jay's in the lead by 1 over both Tyvis and Bull.
It's hilarious. He got it
You know
written
what?
on his board.
I love to win, but I hate to lose even more.
I agree.
Doesn't matter the sport.
All right, let's take the next one here, Steve.
You gotta have some awareness.
Dion Jones verbally committed to Nebraska before flipping to LSU on signing day. True or false?
Me and Jay gonna have the same answer on this one.
Yeah, we are.
I know it.
Hey, that's okay with me. If we all
I know
answer
it
the
is.
same from here on out,
That's why I kind
I
of
take home the belt.
My answer.
Is everybody ready? False, false, false around the board, and guess what?
It's
You
true.
guys are all wrong. It wasn't Nebraska.
who agrees to go to Nebraska?
That's what I
Nebraska
said.
commit. That's a fact.
I was about to say.
Honestly, I thought you said he was from Louisiana earlier.
He is from Louisiana.
And I'm like,
Yeah, then why would
I'm like, he's a black kid from Louisiana. He's not going to Nebraska.
he wisely came to his senses.
Yeah, he did.
he was only a 3-star recruit, so he wasn't super highly touted coming out of high school.
All right.
All right, we have 2 more. Jay's still in the lead by 1.
I gotta go opposite of Jay. I don't know what.
You don't know what I'm saying, though.
I know.
His favorite animal is a tiger. Is that true? Or is that false?
Jay, go opposite of me. Give me a chance.
Is everybody ready?
Give
Yeah.
me
Let's see it. False, true, false. And heading into the last question,
We're all tied.
Yes!
Three-way tie. Three-way tie.
good job by Jay Crawford.
Whoa.
Tyvis and Bull surging.
Yes.
Hey, it's not a choke job until I blow it.
That's true. That's true. That's fair.
it. Oh, I hope y'all two answer the same, but
I'm feeling the pressure right now.
I am too. We all are.
Pressure.
We are all tied up. You guys are 3 and 4 each right now, so no one is doing well. Let's see the last question.
Well, how are we supposed to know this guy? He's been at Brown for 20 minutes.
Jones's father named him after Deion Sanders, his favorite NFL player.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm about to blow it at the end. With all of this comeback, I done blew it at the end.
Wow, you're already thinking that you... Well, change your answer then.
Travis, you only have a 50-50.
Listen, listen.
I am changing my answer, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to be so mad.
Don't do it, bro.
I hope he's wrong.
Just let it go, man.
I changed it. I changed.
Okay, you do want to do one at a time reveal here?
Yeah.
All right.
Bull,
I had true, and I changed to false.
Tyvis, Jay.
Boom.
So if this is false, Bull's the winner.
Bull wins.
If it's not, we will go to the tiebreaker after Dave Richards.
The music got me so scared.
Steve,
It's like Yankees Guardians.
let's hold it for 3 more seconds. Drum roll. Anthony, give me a drum roll.
The winner when we come back from this timeout.
Let's see it. True or false? Is Bull going to walk away victorious? And Bull, you are not the winner.
I knew it. I knew it the way he did it. I knew
He did
it.
that to me last
he was
week.
messing with me.
Tyvis and Jay.
You changed your answer.
I changed it.
We have Dave Richard ready, so we're going to get to Dave.
Wait, what about our we got a tiebreaker.
Steve Becker's working on the tiebreaker.
Oh,
Do
we're
it after
holding the
Dave.
drama. Keep this music under Dave's entire segment.
No, it's got my stomach in knots. Got my stomach in knots.
That was the most exciting true and false we've had yet. We're going to get to Dave Richard. When we come back
All right.
after Dave Richard, we will end with the tiebreaker. Steve Becker's working on the question right now.
All right.
Dave, I think you caught the end of that. Would you have won true or false about Dion Jones?
I'm up here shaking. Look at my hand.
I would have on that last one.
You knew that? You knew he knew that?
I think I knew that. I did not know the Nebraska. I didn't know he was a commit to Nebraska.
Yeah. I just figured it was he spells it differently, so I was like,
No, he spells it the same.
No. It's the same.
okay, well, I screwed up.
Also, the nickname Debo is Deion Sanders Bo Jackson.
Oh,
That's what I call him, Debo.
what a great nickname.
Wow.
That's
All right. Well, speaking of Bo Jackson, was a running back, obviously, and Dave, let's talk some running back. All right,
Dave,
we got a couple of
Yeah.
interesting situations. We'll look at the Seahawks, where Rashad Penny out for the year. Kenneth Walker now gets his opportunity to be, I assume, the main guy. And then what about Carolina? We got Darrell Williams banged up. We got James Conner. Are you spending big on potentially Eno Benjamin this week? What do we make of those two running back situations?
I think you meant Arizona and not Carolina. We know what
sorry,
the Carolina run game is right now. It's all good. It's all good. Cardinals, Panthers, they look the same. Good job,
true.
Bull. Let's start with Seattle. Let's start with the Seahawks. Kenneth Walker is going to be their guy. And while he's not exactly the most efficient running back right now, when I watch him play, I still see him running with a little bit of hesitation. And Tyvis will tell you, like any running back that's running with a little bit of hesitation, man, that's something that you want to hit, and that's something that you can hit. Once he breaks through that point, he's going to be a very tough running back. And you saw it on his touchdown last week against New Orleans. He had great vision, he had a great cutback, and he had a great second gear to break away from the rest of that New Orleans defense. He's taking on Arizona this week. They're not good against the run. A lot of teams that Seattle's about to play, not good against the run. And I think that offensive line is playing a little bit better than we expected. So I think he's going to be, at worst, a middle-of-the-pack number 2 fantasy running back rest of season. But, guys, he's got the ceiling to be a number 1 running back. In Arizona, Connor has not gotten the job done at all. And I think Eno Benjamin does have a chance to be their main running back this week. Even if Connor plays, he's going to split with Eno Benjamin. Benjamin gives them some speed at running back. He doesn't have the power, that thump that James Conner has. And I think that that's something that they'll need Connor for. But it wouldn't surprise me if Eno Benjamin started to matter more and more each week moving forward. So if you couldn't get Kenneth Walker, Eno Benjamin would be the next best guy to go and get off the waiver wire.
So should I trade Najee Harris for Kenneth Walker?
If you can. That's like walking into a bank and saying, can I trade this $5 bill for a stack of hundos? If
that's
they'll
not
let
happening.
you do it,
You
then
never
do
know.
it.
Dave,
got to throw it out there.
Instead of asking about specific
Throw it
players,
out there, and if they say yes, then go for it.
it's Waiver Wire Wednesday. So give us a couple of names that are available in most leagues that can make an impact for our teams.
Well, we already talked about Eno Benjamin, and my guess is that he's already been picked up in a bunch of leagues. I would then venture to the wide receivers that are available. I still think that Jacoby Myers is going to matter quite a bit in New England. I think he's their best wide receiver. He started the week available in more than half of CBS Sports leagues. You should see if he's out there. Alec Pierce stepped up. He was very good for the Colts in their Thursday night game. Certainly gets a lot of volume, and that's a passing offense that needed a number 2 receiver, somebody to help take pressure off of Michael Pittman. And Pierce was amazing. Pierce is part of the reason why Desmond Ridder got drafted. He was awesome at Cincinnati. And I thought his transition to the NFL, I'm actually surprised it's taken as long as it has. I thought he was pretty NFL ready. Isaiah McKenzie just got cleared out of the concussion protocol. He's expected to play in Week 6. Huge game against Kansas City. The weakness of that Chiefs defense is against the pass. McKenzie should be the slot receiver for Buffalo, and he's mattered a lot, whether as a pass catcher or a decoy, on a lot of their passing touchdowns. He's out there, Jay, in half of CBS Sports leagues. He was my big sleeper of the summer. I think if you can get him, you should. And then other wide receivers that might be out there, Rondale Moore, Darius Slayton, Zay Jones could matter a little bit. Devin Duvernay could matter a little bit. It's pretty rich at wide receiver. It's not as good at running back. And if I could be given just one more second to talk about the tight ends, my guess is that Taysom Hill's already been grabbed up in a bunch of leagues. But as tight ends go, there aren't a lot of studs of the Kelsey and Andrew spectrum. Taysom Hill's going to be a touchdown or bust player, just like a lot of other tight ends. And I don't think the Saints are going to back off of using him after what he did last week against Seattle. So I'm on board with him as a top 10 tight end rest of season. But I also like Hayden Hurst. And I actually like Hurst better than Hill in full point PPR because he's a tight end that actually catches the ball. Right. Unlike Taysom Hill, I think he's got 1 catch on the year.
Speaking of tight end, what are you doing if you have Kyle Pitts right now?
If you try and trade him, you're going to get that $5 bill that Tyvis is going to use to try and get a couple of hundreds from the bank. His value's in the tank. You have to wait for him to actually break out and play good football for more than 1/2. And that's all he's given you this year, 1/2 of good football. And really a lot of it is tied to Marcus Mariota. He's not doing a great job passing. The Falcons have actually done a nice job running last week, notwithstanding. I would imagine that he will get back involved. It looks like he's practicing today. I don't know if that's 100% certain, but if he's practicing on Wednesday, he should be full go by Friday. That means he should be back in fantasy lineups as a low-end starting tight end.
Dave, from an NFL perspective, the Panthers are trading guys potentially. From a fantasy perspective, or from an NFL perspective, I thought, man, if the Bills got Christian McCaffrey, oh my God, because that's their only weakness is their running game is not very good. But from a fantasy perspective, if that did happen, I know, is it possible he has less value even though that offense is great, or is that insane? Because I'm just thinking because Josh Allen throws the ball so much, although McCaffrey catches a ton of passes. Can you imagine him in that offense?
Yeah, I think he would catch more passes than he would have in Carolina with Baker. And he's been pretty good. Like, let's face it, through 5 weeks, he's healthy, hasn't missed a game. I don't think he's missed much playing time either. And they've been throwing him the ball. They've done a good job of utilizing him in Carolina. And I think Buffalo would use him similarly. Probably wouldn't have a lot of 15-carry games for the Bills. And that's why I don't think the Bills are going to give up a ton to acquire any running back. I think they know what their offense is. They want to lean on Josh Allen. Now, if the Panthers were willing to say, okay, take Christian McCaffrey off our hands, give us an early day 3 pick, that would be a 4th-round pick. Yeah, Buffalo would probably do something like that. But I bet Carolina fancies McCaffrey an important part of their future, and so they're not just going to give him away for nothing. The player that they might actually be looking at is in New York with Saquon. If the Giants end up flopping and they don't have this 1-loss record like they've had so far, then I think that Barkley would be the one that could be on the move because he's in a contract year. But the Giants have nothing to gain other than a compensatory pick if they move on from Saquon Barkley. If they have no intention on signing him, they might as well trade him, and Buffalo would love to have a guy like that.
If you're streaming quarterbacks with buys happening for the first time this week, if you're looking at, let's say you're looking, at a Matt Ryan or some of the guys in that 20 range, and you need a quarterback this week, or it's 2-quarterback league, who of those like 3rd-tier quarterbacks, who are you going with this week?
Well, let's make sure that Geno Smith is not on the waiver wire because I think Geno's got some staying power and can be a starter for fantasy managers for the rest of the season. He's played great, and that Seattle offense, we talked about it with Kenneth Walker, really the reason why they're able to be so great and efficient at running the football, and they were with Rashad Penny, is because Geno Smith has been doing a great job with his wide receivers. Amazing. Make sure that he's not on the waiver wire. Make sure that Carson Wentz isn't on the waiver wire. I would like Wentz. I would put him at the top of the list. But if he's taken, go take a look at Jimmy Garoppolo against Atlanta. Favorable matchup. Should be able to come up with a couple of touchdowns against the Falcons.
Dave, I'm down to my socks in every fantasy league. Give me a trade that I could go get. Give me a player that can just help save me because I'm about to shed tears. I'm about to do a stand-up comedy thing. That's
no, we don't want you to do that.
That's where I'm at.
So you need to look around on the other teams in your league and see which teams have the positions or the position really specifically. If there's one, let's say you're weak at wide receiver. You need to find a team that's loaded at wide receiver, and you need to try and acquire one of them. A receiver that I would look for is Michael Pittman because he hasn't played well the last couple of weeks. His numbers have stunk. But I think the best is yet to come for him, especially now that they've established Alec Pierce as another receiver in that offense. Both of those guys could be force-fed a lot of targets there, especially when Jonathan Taylor's back, and that can make them useful for fantasy. I think Christian Kirk is a good buy low. I think Brandon Cooks might be the best buy low wide receiver out there. He's giving you almost nothing. People are tired of having him on their fantasy teams.
I just
acquired him in a trade.
In the league we're in together, I got Cooks. I'll trade him Cooks.
Yeah.
What do you want for him?
And that's the thing. And that's why. But I wouldn't give up like Najee for Cooks because I just think that's a little too much to give. Cooks' value is so low right now. You should be able to give up a good bench player in exchange for him, and I think he's going to have some better moments. The Falcons, the Texans have to come out of their bye and realize that they need to get Brandon Cooks even more involved in their offense. I think they'll do it. I think Cooks is going to have some huge games moving forward.
All right, Dave, it's time for our Ask the Internet segment with you, and as always, when we do that, it's brought to us by our good friends at PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. We got a couple questions from the Internet here. This one seems relatively easy, but Joseph Roscos wants to know, am I sitting or starting Ramondre Stevenson against the Browns?
Oh, you're starting Ramondre. He's going to be the main rushing downs guy. Yeah, I don't think you can sit him. I think the Browns were smart to get Dion Jones, and I think in time Dion Jones will help settle that run defense. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I would expect Ramondre to have a good game.
Eagle Man wants to know, what should I do with the Miami running back situation? Is there anyone worth playing from that?
Raheem Mostert, as long as he's healthy, is going to be the guy for them. They've settled on him. Chase Edmonds has faded out of the offense. I don't think he's going to come back in. Myles Gaskin was getting more playing time than Chase Edmonds last week. Mostert is a low-end number 2 fantasy running back.
And we got two more. Our boy Earl upstairs, AP Earl, wants to know if he should attempt to move on from Darren Waller in a keeper league, so there might be a little more value
I want to
there.
know that too.
Sure. The problem is who's going to take Darren Waller off your hands, and what are they going to give you for him? They wouldn't even give you somebody like Romeo Doubs, who's coming off one of his worst games of the year, because in a keeper league, Doubs has a lot of long-term value. This could be the end of the line for Darren Waller in fantasy. Wow. It would make my heart break.
Wow.
But if he keeps getting hurt and he's an older player, the only team in a keeper league that would trade for Darren Waller right now is a team that's 5-0, 4-1. They're streaming tight ends, and they're going to hope that Darren Waller comes back better than ever. I think that's kind of asking a lot of Waller.
Dave,
he's been awful.
Robert Tonyan or Hayden Hurst?
I like Hurst better because he gets more targets in his offense than Tonyan gets in his.
Okay. Hey, Dave, let me run one last thing by you before we let you go here, because I'm in my keeper league, and for only the third time in 25 years, I've decided I'm selling. I'm blowing it out. Usually I play to the end. I don't like, but this year I got Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews and Aaron Jones, and the rest of my team basically sucks. It is awful. I've got injuries. It's a mess. So This guy today offers me, and I can't keep. I've had Lamar for 5 years. Nobody's ever had a player for 5 years, but his contract now is too much to keep for next year. So I got to trade Lamar if I'm not going to have a chance to win. So this guy offered me Trevor Lawrence, who I could keep for at least 2, maybe 3 years, although I'm not sold that he's going to be a quarterback one. He offered me Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I could keep for at least 2, again, maybe 3 years, and a first and second round rookie pick in next year's draft.
You have to ask me this?
Well, I'm also.
It's not obvious to you?
Sorry.
This is the most obvious trade. You've asked me my opinion on maybe 40 trades in all the time that we've known each other.
Yeah.
This is the most
obvious.
This is a fist pump yes deal.
Wait,
and here's the best part.
I left out. He also wanted Mark Andrews in the deal. I should say.
Oh, all right. That changes it. That changes it. How long can you keep Andrews for?
I'd have to pay him over $20 for a tight end that's even Andrews.
I love this league.
Yeah, it's questionable. Maybe one. I might be able to keep Andrews.
You get a first and second next year?
Rookie pick.
Oh, rookie pick.
Yeah, rookie pick. First
right.
and second.
When next year's draft is going to be huge
Loaded,
for fantasy,
right.
so
Which would give me
I'm
2
loving those
first-round
picks next year.
Yeah, I would do it.
Yeah,
I would give up on this year and do it.
I agree with Jay. I think this is what you got to do.
I'm trying to get him to
Andrews
throw in
is
Nico Collins also.
The worst part. Well, why would you throw in? Who cares about Nico Collins?
I like Nico.
You know what you need? Here's what you need. You need a tight end to replace Andrews. Maybe you already have one on your team. I don't know. But you need to also find a quarterback. And I would tell you that if you make that trade, I still think you've got a puncher's chance of coming back if you get the right quarterback. Maybe make a trade for Geno Smith. Maybe make that deal for Taysom Hill or Hayden Hurst at tight end. And, those guys aren't as good as Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, but you're adding St. Brown into the mix. You've got picks for next year. You've got Lawrence for next year. You could use him as your quarterback. I think you could still have an outside shot of crawling into the playoffs, and that would be the best of both worlds.
You talked me into it. I was a little hesitant. All right, thanks, Dave, as always.
Dave, Waiver Wire Wednesday. We'll see you next week, man.
You got it, guys. Good luck in your leagues.
You too.
Thank you. All right, creep that music in. It's time for the tiebreaker between Tyvis and I.
My God, I forgot.
Here we go.
We have 3 tiebreaker questions if you guys don't determine a winner in 3.
Oh, wow.
I forgot about it.
I'm going to play even though I'm out.
Yes, you can play even though you're out.
Fun.
We'll have Bull reveal his answers first, then we'll have Tyvis and Jay go.
Go ahead.
My stomach just got
Tiebreaker number 1
My stomach.
for Dion Jones. Dion Jones ran a sub 4.440 at the NFL Combine heading into his draft. Is that true or false?
Oh, I thought the bonus questions were like a specific answer. Didn't we do that last time?
But that's okay.
Do you want a specific answer? We have a couple specific answers.
No, true. All right,
no.
He ran, what was the number again?
Sub 4.440.
That's. I mean.
Boom, 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 boom.
This is the best music we've
I
found.
feel like you know the answer. Do you know the answer? JV knowing the answer. That's what be making me mad.
Tyvis,
What?
are you ready?
He hasn't even written it down yet.
I got mine.
Tyvis, we have a show to get.
I'm ready.
You wrote it down?
Yeah.
All right.
Bull, let's see yours first.
I've been turning it around for 5 minutes.
You know what?
already.
There's that. People don't see. There's a box here that Bull gets cut off in that one direction. So I can't see Bull. Tyvis,
really?
let's see. False. Jay.
Boom.
If I win, I should be back in the tie.
No, nonsense.
Bull's back in. It is true.
No, he's not back in anything.
He's
He's not back in anything.
He's not back in, but it is.
Ah, boo.
Okay. Question number
I thought he
2.
would have been a first round.
It's like beating a playoff team on the last day of the regular
I thought he
season
was
and not
going to be a
thinking you're
first
back in the
round pick. If
playoffs.
that was
Back
the
in the
case.
mix. Go ahead.
Question number 2. Dion Jones has never had more than 1 sack in a game in his NFL career. Has never had more than 1 sack. Not 1.5, not 2, not 2.5. Never had more than 1. True or false? I see it now, Bull. Thank you. Is you ready?
Yeah.
Said false.
I hate the poker face.
Tyvis?
I hate the poker.
And Jay, let's see the reveal. True.
Ooh, we're going to have a winner then. Boom.
And the winner is, Anthony, give me a drum roll. It is true. Tyvis.
Yes.
on the in double overtime.
The only 4-time champion. Four.
Double
One,
overtime.
2, 3,
This is a bubble championship, just like the Lakers.
Yes.
Without G.
You
Bush.
know what? I dedicate this one on to my boy G. Bush, man, for coming out with this title. You know, I want to thank God for this as well. Hold on, let me get my speech.
Sorry, go ahead.
I want to thank God. You know, I want to thank my mom and father for doing what they did.
While you're doing all that,
just have me here.
Take into account that we're making a big deal about a guy that's never had more than one sack in an NFL game.
You're not gonna rain on my parade. I don't have nothing to do
That was
with
the
that.
ultimate shot, Jay. I love it.
Did you say this is a bubble win? Like
Yeah, I
the
did say it's a
Lakers
bubble win, 'cause
championship?
G. Bush is
Or a
a huge-
COVID win?
Look at
Yeah.
that. Boom.
It's not a real championship. It's an asterisk championship.
How is
That's
it?
unfair.
Listen, y'all is ridiculous.
That's unfair.
man.
I'm giving Tyvis
The only
full credit.
4-time champ.
I'm a lot less excited about this trade now. A lot less excited. The guy's never had more than one sack in a
Now
game.
he's had one sack.
Oh, well, thank God for that.
Guess how many career sacks Dion Jones has, just for fun.
6.
I mean, he's a
7.5.
linebacker. He's not a
so
defensive
close.
lineman.
Yeah, I know. Derek Brooks
I
is a
was
linebacker,
so
too.
close.
Yeah, but that was a different time. How many
You're comparing
linebackers?
legends to the now you're talking about legends.
How many true linebackers in this NFL have had multiple sack games? I don't think the numbers.
Mike
there's enough of
linebackers, be
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah, that's
Outside,
true.
they don't really ask Mike linebackers to blitz
Right.
like that.
Exactly.
All right, it's time for final takes, guys. Bull, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start us off. We spent most of the early portion of the show on the Guardians, and then we haven't talked about them now for an hour and 20 minutes or so. So I'm going to get back here. Listen, I understand the frustration from fans. The playoffs are a nerve-wracking time, and so I get it. The fact that they haven't hit well in the playoffs, they haven't been themselves in the playoffs, is frustrating. But this series is not over, and you've got your two best pitchers going the next 2 days. And win or lose, even though I granted if they lose game 2, it's going to be very, 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 very hard for them to win the series. We need to be out there and not allow Yankee fans to take over this stadium in games 3 and 4. We saw it happen when they played the Cubs. We've seen it happen when they've played other big market teams. I know there's going to be a Yankee fan presence. But I implore you, if you have to sell your tickets, try at least to sell them to another Cleveland fan. Because you need, like, the Yankee Stadium is an advantage. We got to make our stadium an advantage. I thought it was against Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay doesn't have a good fan base, unlike the Yankees. So whatever happens tomorrow, obviously it's going to be a lot easier to have people enthused if they win. And I think they are going to win game 2. I feel really good about it. Stay positive, stay confident, and stay in your tickets and stay in your seats. And be behind that team. They deserve your support heading into the game 2 and 3.
Well said.
There'll be a lot of Yankee fans there.
There will be.
Despite your message.
Yep.
They're going to come from New York with a lot of money in their pocket.
Tickets are so expensive. Have you guys seen the price on
That's
those?
why. Tickets are.
I wanted to go to a game, and I looked at the price, and I said,
They're more expensive for Progressive Field than for Yankee Stadium. And the
It's
reason
absurd.
is that people in New York know
McNuggets,
that they can't get tickets to the Yankee Stadium.
McNuggets,
so their
you make
best
your
shot
big
to
bucks.
see it,
Yeah.
and especially if they win the first 2 and
Right.
3 is a clinch game,
Yeah.
it's going to be just like
The
Game
cheap-
7 in the World
Sucks.
Series.
Tyvis,
Yeah.
the cheapest ticket I saw was like $7.90.
And they're all being bought by New
$7.90,
Yorkers.
right?
Clevelanders aren't paying that much money for
No,
those tickets.
I'm not paying that
Wait.
much.
The cheapest ticket for the Guardians Yankees is $790?
Bull.
$7.90.
The tickets at Progressive are going for more than the tickets at Yankee Stadium.
On the resale market. And
On the
that's-
resale market.
And that's why, but they're owned originally by Cleveland fans.
They
but I
are,
get
but
it.
you know what? And
have a
here's
chance
what
to make a
really
ton of money.
sucks. In 2016, so many people paid for their next year's season tickets
By selling those
selling Game 7 ticket.
Yeah.
So now what happens whenever there's a loophole in the system?
Yeah.
There were people that weren't even interested in going to any playoff games, knowing that we're going to play New York.
I know.
And say, whoa, this is an investment opportunity. I'm going to take my chance. I'm going to buy tickets for all the games.
Yeah, it
and I'll
sucks.
make all of my money back and then some by selling one ticket. So opportunists
It sucks.
are absolutely going to make sure that the Yankees have a huge home
Now, with that being said, if
fan
anyone has
base
an extra ticket they want to get rid of for either home game this weekend for cheap, I will gladly take that off your hand for a reasonable
there.
price.
Yeah, well, for cheap was the
And I'll
Can't you
give
get a
two free
press
t-shirts.
pass?
Yeah, you get a
I
press
guess maybe I
pass.
could ask for a press pass.
Although,
Yeah, I can get credential.
yeah. Yeah, but then you can't. The only thing that sucks with the
You
press
can't
pass,
cheer.
you can't cheer.
I know.
It's not
No,
as fun.
look, it is what it is, but I guarantee you,
Yeah.
when that first
You're right,
pitch is
and
thrown
there's gonna be a
Saturday,
ton of Yankee fans.
there's going to be
Sucks.
Yankee fans everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Got to win this series.
Which am I that one?
Yep.
My final take today is simply it's really dedicated to the Browns defense, but it's not just the defense. It's really something in life. You know how people say, this is my brother, this is my best friend, and we boys, and I got your back. Well, the thing that comes with that territory is when somebody's messing up, is checking them and getting them back on track. And the thing that gets me with the Browns is that all this offseason, they talked about how they've got so much chemistry and, we got this bond and we're like brothers. But you go out there on Sunday and you see each other not handling their job and not doing what they're supposed to do. And to me, nobody seems like they're saying anything. And they're just letting it go by. And if that's your boy, like you say, because if I'm messing up and my friend sees me messing up, he's going to say something to me because that might be what I need. I might not realize that I'm not doing right. And it's up to my friends to keep me right. If y'all like that, y'all need to start holding each other accountable and start stepping up and saying stuff to each other. Because what you don't know is by you not telling him that he's messing up and he's not doing well, all it's doing is allowing Andrew Berry to say, well, look, now we got to go out and get a guy. So now this guy, your friend, is going to end up losing his job and be unemployed because all it took was for you to check him. And if you care for him, you need to check him and save him to keep his job because that one conversation could easily turn a light switch on for him and he can get it back and start playing harder. And it's something that we need on this defense. So I think everybody on that team needs to hold each other accountable. I don't care if it's an undrafted player or the number one pick in the draft. Everybody need some words of encouragement at times to be picked up, and it doesn't have to come from the defense. It could come from the offense. It doesn't. When I was in college, J.T. Barrett could say something that sparks a whole defense. Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco had a whole defense turned up, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a defensive player. Somebody has to start holding people accountable unless you want to see them unemployed.
Well, who's the headline?
Yeah.
Who is the headline on this football team?
I mean, it's got to be Myles Garrett. Let's go.
Here's the problem. We're years into Myles' career. We're games into this season, and we don't know who the Lion is. Yeah. We don't know.
By the way, a couple of injury notes. Not practicing today, Denzel Ward and Jadeveon Clowney. Clowney with ankle, knee,
Ward
and
with
elbow.
Concussion.
Ward a concussion. Where did that come from?
I didn't know. I was going to bring that up after
Yeah.
final takes. I didn't see that, which puts his status with the whole concussion protocol in the NFL right now. Teddy Bridgewater has already announced he's not playing this week after being concussed, even though Mike McDonald said he was showing no symptoms. So I'm going to guess if he's in concussion protocol, he's probably not playing.
I mean, yeah. And Clowney with multiple injuries, although he probably had them all last week.
That would be bad. All right, I was going to go one lane for my final take, but then listening to you, I thought of something else. So I'm going to kind of go two-tier here. I'll try to be as quick as I can. Number one, I've said this for the last 30 years. I'm going to say it again. There needs to be a salary floor and a salary cap in Major League Baseball. Not just because I'm a fan of a small market team that has the 28th smallest or 28th largest payroll in baseball. When you look at the playing field in the NFL and in the NBA, it's even. Everybody's spending the same amount of money, and that ensures that from Green Bay to Minneapolis to Kansas City, every team in the NFL, if they're smart with their front office, has a chance because they're spending the same amount of money, even playing field. In Major League Baseball, I'm not kidding myself. I think the Guardians could win a couple of postseason games. They have no chance to win the World Series. I say that because the payroll disparity is just too big. The Dodgers spend over $300 million. The Astros and the Yankees are well over $200 million. And here's the Guardians when they started the season at $54 million. $54 million. That's $1 that they spend. The Dodgers were spending $6. Who wants to watch that? It's like watching a high school team that recruits specifically for baseball play a really small rural high school that has 14 kids on their team. We want the product to be even, and we want every team to have a chance. Detroit, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, throw Cleveland in there. All of these Midwest markets, they essentially have no chance. They really don't. When the coastal cities and when you have an advantage because the city that you play in is just bigger and it's a bigger TV market, it's not a fair playing field. And I want a floor because I don't want teams like Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Cleveland to spend $60 or $70 million a year. That's nonsense. They're getting more money than that from the national TV contract deals. They should at least have to spend that on investing into their teams so their fan bases know that they have a chance every year and know that we won't sell our playoff tickets because we probably have no chance anyhow. So I think for this long-term health of the game, why is the NFL so popular? Because fans in 32 seasons and 32 cities think that their team has a fighting chance every year. In Major League Baseball, there's 6 to 8 teams that have a realistic chance every year. And you know who they are. They're on the coasts. They're the LA Dodgers, the New York Yankees, the New York Mets, the Phillies, the teams that are spending inordinate sums of money to buy a championship. The other thing I want to touch on is your point is such a good one. I know what's going to happen for Game 3. I know it already. And the reason I know it is because the way the prices have been driven up on the secondary market. I think that, I don't know if the Guardians can do this on their own or if Major League Baseball can implement this. Tickets are non-transferable. You buy them, you're going to the game. Period. End of story. Now, I know there's going to be things, well, I got sick and I can't go. This is a playoff game. You're buying a ticket a couple of days before the game. It has to be transferred with then to someone that either shares your last name or put it in a lottery and let a fan that is a fan of that team is the only person that can own that ticket. Otherwise, your home field advantage is gone, just like it was in Game 7 of the World Series. I understand people want to make money on selling tickets. Ticket sales used to be illegal. You couldn't sell a ticket secondarily.
Yeah.
Well,
but now the league isn't cutting it, so they don't care.
No, I know they don't care.
Yeah.
But it's still, you're not supposed to sell tickets that way.
It sucks.
So if you're going to sell a ticket, it should be mandated that ticket is, so if something comes up and you can't use it and you have to transfer it, then it goes back to the team, and the team then can sell it to somebody that's in the pool of Guardians fans that's already registered and they've been registered.
You get your money
all
back
year.
from the team.
You get your money back because you can't use your ticket.
Yeah.
But this nonsense of selling tickets to make money it hurts the team. It hurts the team. And somehow they've got to close that loophole.
And the price gouging on the parking in Cleveland is it's a disgrace.
There was a parking lot charging, I think someone said $100
yeah, I mean, give me
for
a
parking
break.
the other day.
Give me a break.
All right, we're out of time. 22-hour break. We're back
Bernie
tomorrow.
Kosar tomorrow.
Bernie Kosar in studio tomorrow. So
Yeah.
Bernie Kosar will be here probably for the second hour of the program to talk all things Cleveland Browns and give us his medicine for what it is that needs to happen to fix this team. And yeah, Tyvis is the champ. See you tomorrow.